This is Nothing Coherent. I'm Brandon.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Ryan.
I'm sorry we have been away a little while. We were doing a little bit of remodeling and just haven't had the time or energy to really record. So we're going to quickly rush through because we have a big show of news and stuff we want to discuss because a lot of stuff decided to happen while we were gone.
Kidding.
So we're going to stop recording like this. From now on, we're going to go like every few weeks and record an episode because I've learned that more news just comes out.
No, we can't do that.
And maybe I'll get my like Avengers tickets and Star Wars Episode 9 trailers.
See, here's the problem with that. If we keep doing that, I'm going to talk to you in between episodes, and then I'm going to say everything I want to say, and they'll be like, oh yeah, remember when we talked about that while we're recording the podcast? And people are going to be like, we don't remember, what did you talk about?
But
That would be me.
Ryan's face right here had just confirmed that he'd be willing to not do another episode until we get an Episode 9 trailer, if that was the trade-off.
Yes, if that's the trade-off, then I will not have another. I will never show up to another podcast until Star Wars comes up. So
Zach made up a point real quick. They confirmed an Episode 9 panel at Star Wars Celebration, which is
I'm
just
going to.
Which
Yeah.
you know it's in Chicago.
Yeah, I'm going.
Do you have tickets?
I'm getting tickets
You're
currently
such a
right now.
But yeah, that was
When is this? I should know this, but when is
April, like
It's clearly
16th?
It's clearly on May the 4th, Ryan.
in April.
Yes. It's on May the 4th.
I would have heard of
April.
his. I always keep an eye on May the 4th.
It's like when Friday the 13th falls on a Wednesday in October
Okay.
on the 31st.
I will literally buy tickets like while we're doing this if it's.
If it's, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna.
It's
it's
probably
sold out.
No, it won't.
No.
April 11th
No.
through the 15th.
Something
waiting-
Star
they're
Wars
waiting
related
for
would.
They're like, Ryan hasn't bought his tickets yet.
Star
We
Wars
have to save
related
one.
things.
This is how we open our podcast with us talking about.
Anyway, while you guys are doing that, I'm gonna just get into what I've been doing over the
You
last
can
couple
only
weeks.
buy on site for these days. The rest are sold out.
So
Okay, so Thursday,
let me just get
I could go
into
Thursday, Friday.
what I've been playing because we're talking about Star Wars.
So you're going with me?
I can't take off any more days.
Oh yeah, you can. I'll approve it off.
Anyway, so
You can buy a
I-
child's ticket.
I got Star Wars Battlefront 2 actually on the PlayStation Store for $5 during their like
Worth
sale. And
One of the best games of my childhood.
I was actually this is the new one, the one that like Reddit was like, oh, this one's
He bought
bad.
the- he
Like,
bought the-
it's
yeah.
the one that was like
It's
downloaded.
yeah, it's okay.
I actually, because they've been updating it and keeping up with it and stuff, I actually am really liking what I've played so far. I can see how it being a launch title, people would have been upset, but I got the game for $5 and I've been playing quite a bit. I'm enjoying it. I'm like level 10 right now.
Dude, you need
I
to let me
really-
know when you're on. I'll actually play with you.
All right, but no, like I was playing
2 days.
some Starfighter Assault mission because they've got like triple EXP right now,
Uh-huh.
and I love flying the ships in this game. Like I was having so much fun because I remember in the original Battlefront games, flying ships was like impossible. I was
Yeah.
like, this is
It was
annoying
rough,
and I
but it
can't
was
do
cool
it.
back then.
But like now it's like I can do like the barrel rolls and do all these cool moves and everything. The human players wreck me, but I can take on just about any AI or complete the missions relatively easy. I haven't come across anything super
They still
hard.
have tickets on sale for the day that you could go to the Star Wars Episode 9 panel for $75 per day.
Oh, that's worth it.
You could go there and report on it.
You get like 8 minutes of footage and you're just like, oh, this is gonna be the best Star Wars movie ever, and you're like,
That's worth me driving up there and paying $75.
I could totally see you doing it actually.
I would buy if you're gonna do it. I would look into it like after this episode's
So-
over.
Other things that I've done.
I need to bring someone with me.
I played Fallout 3 on stream actually, and you guys both shown up for that for a
Dude,
little bit.
Yeah, I watched you
Yeah,
for quite a while
yeah.
that night.
Ryan, you actually were dropping bits like a madman. That was like Ryan's a freaking ATM machine over here. Thank you.
I was enjoying the content.
I appreciate that.
And then he expects that they go right back into the podcast.
Yes, all that money needs to go back into this podcast, but that's a
well,
side
I mean,
note. It shows Zach like 10 minutes before at Walmart just buying Pokemon cards.
I actually haven't bought Pokemon cards in like a month.
Yeah, I've been able to control my addiction on that. I haven't bought any.
I just don't look at mine. They just sit there in a pile at my desk.
They're on like behind my back seat, behind my driver's seat, like just in the battle box or whatever. They're all sitting there, and I'm like, man, if somebody broke that window and took all my cards, I'd actually be really sad. I should take
At least
them
you're ready
inside.
to duel.
Yeah, I'm always ready to throw down. Are you kidding me? No.
Mhm.
I played a little bit of Fallout 4 just because somebody on Reddit posted this Captain America challenge. And I was like, oh, I kind of want to do that where you lead the Minutemen and you like have all your companions at like the castle in Fallout 4. and you attack the Brotherhood of Steel and the Institute, and they both come and attack you. And I was like, it's like the Avengers fighting like all these people because I have like Paladin Dance and his power armor. So I'm like, that's Iron Man. Here's Strong, the super mutant, and that's the Incredible Hulk. And then I'm Captain America running around just beating things up with my fist. I had a lot of fun doing that. It only takes like an hour to set up. And I was like, okay. So then I just started playing as my Steve Rogers character, and he's like level 30 now. I was like, I had fun. And then there was the bargain binning crisis.
Zach failed. We even gave him extended time.
I had extended time.
He had a month.
2 weeks.
He had a month.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how painfully bad Duke Nukem is? At one point, it was as if I was playing a game that was
Okay.
Like, I was like, I can't keep playing this. This is bad.
So because Zach could not beat it, we picked, me and Ryan decided he's going to play Looney Tunes Back in Action for the GameCube, which the best part about it is a dog has chewed up on the corner of it.
Or something.
So, I'm really excited. I think the instruction manual's still out.
Maybe it was actually the person. The person
Yeah,
provided
they're
it.
so
The person
mad.
just couldn't take it
mad.
anymore.
Okay, so I actually remember playing this game as a kid, and I remember beating it. I remember it being hard,
Good.
but yeah, I can
We know
actually
you're
beat
gonna
this
beat it.
one.
Maybe
Well,
he'll never beat it, and then we never have to play one. It'll just be an endless cycle until we get through all of them.
That's fine with me. I'll
Zach-
never have to play one in my life.
No. We have to get Ryan to play one. I don't care what game it is, Ryan.
Oh, no,
Oh,
it's not.
no.
Nah, that's why it still
looks-
works.
It might work.
If it cuts out and resets every once in a while, you just have to keep on. You have to reset
Yeah.
and play with it.
I'll kill myself.
The hard crash is like, oh, there's Hold on. Get EA cheat codes and hints. Register your game now. We'll look into that later.
Yeah, we
Heck
gotta get
yeah.
the cheat codes
Just
for
call
Looney Tunes
them.
back.
They're like,
in action.
Oh,
sir.
hold on. You can get $3 back by mail when you buy any one of the following Looney Tunes DVDs or VHS tapes.
Really?
Looney Tunes Golden Collection, Premium Collection,
Hey,
Reality
Space Jam.
Check, Stranger Than Fiction, or Space Jam 2-disc Special Edition.
Oh, well, I know what I'm
I'm sure
doing.
that's
I'm going
probably
to
available to
Vintage
buy
Stock.
still.
Yeah, I'm sure that offers
Why isn't the
still
movie?
Hmm?
Why isn't like the movies DVD?
Probably because Looney Tunes Back in Action, the movie wasn't out yet. Because
Yeah, wait, is it Brad Pitt or Brendan Fraser?
Brendan Fraser.
Why isn't he in this game? When did this game come out?
This game does not follow the movie at
2003.
all.
It was made in Japan. Freaking, I don't think the movie was. Let's look into this. You keep talking.
Anyway, that's pretty much all I did for what I've been playing. I need to go pick up my copy of Division 2, like right after this podcast, so I can go home and install the giant file that is Division 2.
Yeah, have you bought it? Or are you gonna buy it? So
I'm probably gonna buy it. I just.
it is there's a day one 90 gigabyte patch you have to install for PlayStation 4.
It's insane.
It's been
I
downloading
actually
for
have-
2 days.
I actually have to delete stuff just so I can install the patch.
Every time I buy a game, I have to.
The
delete
movie came out the
something.
same year.
Yeah.
I don't know when this game came out. Let's see the dates.
Like 2003.
Three. They both came out same year.
I actually remember.
You would think
liking
it would
Looney
come
Tunes Back
after
in
the
Action.
movie, but
No, most of the time movie games.
November
come out
11th,
before.
the game came out.
Mhm.
When did the movie come out?
Probably way earlier then. That's weird. But anyway,
November 9th. Not on DVD, but
Yeah, but okay. So, what all I've watched, I watched and have caught up with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I've watched
Yeah.
that entire series now.
season 6 is a little hit or
I
miss.
actually am really liking it.
I like it. The episodes where they have like, so like the last two when they or
Yeah.
the last, the he said she said,
That one was good.
and the last one where Boyle had the problem with
With
Nicolaj.
Nicolaj.
Nicolaj
Okay.
is or real dad.
I really
coming back.
liked that one.
That was good, and like how it ends. Like they all have good messages behind them.
Yeah, no, I think all the episodes have been really solid so far. I do hate the fact that Gina's not around, which I thought I wouldn't mind as much. Because, like, in Season 5, she's kind of gone for a lot of it because the actress was pregnant at the time, I think. But now she's, like, not on the show. And I'm just like...
no.
Yeah, her contract ended and she didn't like up it.
And I'm just
Gosh
like...
darn!
I'm
I'm
like-
at the end of season 1 right now.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's not. I would have said it's a spoiler, but she like tweeted out that.
I actually remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember
Big
that.
dramatic.
I was just like, oh, she's not in the series later. So I was like, oh, they must have written her off, or maybe she died or something. I don't know.
Well, so
Like,
in
Casually
season
just say, maybe she just
in
died.
season 5, I think it was. I'm not gonna spoil it because it's like a
Yeah.
big moment of like shock because it just happened.
oh yeah,
There was talks of that being when she was gonna be written off. But
yeah,
then,
no, that blew my mind. I was like, oh, that's how they're doing this.
Yeah,
I
but
was
no.
just like, no, but she just is like, oh, I'm quitting. I'm moving on with my life, and I'm like, that just seems like the actual actress talking to the cast.
Yeah.
But no, the latest episode I think was the one with Amy's brother.
No, there's one more.
Or okay, yeah. No, I'm misremembering, but that one with Lin-Manuel
is really good, yeah.
I loved that episode. I was hoping there would be a musical number for whatever reason, because I'm like, it's freaking Lin-Manuel Miranda. If he doesn't break out into something from Hamilton, it's like a crime. Like,
do you hear the random dog?
Yes.
Yeah, there's another random dog that has somehow come into our vicinity.
Well,
don't know how.
We're just surrounded by dogs.
Okay, so we'll save this one.
Yeah,
I want to save that for the end because I want to do some spoiler talk.
That's fine. I watched the first episode of King of the Hill on Hulu after I finished Brooklyn Nine-Nine because it was just in the suggestions. And I was like, oh, I haven't watched King of the Hill in a long time. And I actually thought the first episode was really good. It was dealing with, like, Child Protective Services coming to see if Hank was an abusive dad. And I was like, this is actually a really good, compelling first episode.
That's the first episode?
Yeah, because Bobby gets a black eye at his baseball game from, like, somebody hitting him with a baseball. So the neighbors think that Hank did it. And then Bobby...
Super serious episode starting out.
Bobby is playing with a baseball in the house, and it bounces off the wall, and it hits Peggy in the head, and then she's got a bruise. So the CPS guy's like, oh, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And, like, by the end of the episode, because the guy didn't go talk to Bobby's coach, they're like, well, you can't prove that he did it. So they let him go. But, like, there's all kinds of other funny stuff happening in the episode. Like, Dale and Boomhauer... they're helping Hank work on his car, and they accidentally cut the brakes to his car, and it, like, backs up into the garage door, and he flips out, like, right in front of the CPS guy. And I'm just like, this is really funny. And, like, I loved everything between, like, them being like, Luann, you can stay if you want because of, like, all the issues with her family and stuff throughout the show. I think I'm actually going to rewatch King of the Hill after watching the first episode. I haven't watched it since it ended. So I want to see if it holds up as well as I remember it does. There's a few episodes I really want to see, specifically the one with Bobby and his purse.
It's funny he said that because that's when I finished Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that was recommended for us too.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, we're going to watch Bobby Goes Nuts, which is, that's my purse! I don't know you!
Which is so good.
You will see, I do not have testicles. She's lying!
I love that episode. It's so funny. Anyway, apart from that, we're going to get to Captain Marvel here in a bit, so I'm going to keep going on. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Just out of the blue, I was like, I really want to watch Guardians. And that is probably in my top 2 or 3, actually, of the MCU. I love Guardians 1. It's just so good. I love that they took all those characters and really fleshed them out within that runtime, because it's like, that's really hard to do, cough, cough, Justice League. Just taking characters and building them up and making you care about them. By the end, you're like, oh, these people are willing to die for each other, and it all feels like it comes naturally. I really love Peter Quill as a leader. I actually really appreciate him even more now, going back and watching 1 and 2. Still don't agree with how he handled Infinity War.
Yeah, somebody pointed out, just to deal with that, somebody pointed out if you watch how he reacts when his dad. Yeah. And so, it does lead up to that. It's frustrating.
Right.
But it does.
But it's like, that's a real human response, which I get. I'm like, how would I react if somebody I loved was taken from me and killed, like, and the person who did it was standing right in front of me? I would probably want to beat the crap out of them too. So it's like, I get what you're doing, but it's like the other people around him could have stopped him, but then it's like, well, that's not in Doctor Strange's 14 million different scenarios. But I really like
James Gunn is coming back for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I had that written down as one of our topics.
I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I heard that Marvel didn't even look into getting another director. I don't know if that's true.
There's going to be so many reports.
I feel like honestly they had to have a backup just in case. I feel like it would have been Taika Waititi. But...
No, he wouldn't do it. Waititi, Edgar Wright, and Peyton Reed all said they wouldn't do it.
Oh, Edgar Wright would have been sweet, though.
My conspiracy theory is that... So, Gunn was fired not by Alan Horn or Bob Iger or Feige. He was fired by some random chairman.
Yeah.
So let's say, hypothetically, they just did it. Iger and him met a lot, or Alan.
That's what I've heard. He met with head of Disney like a lot.
So I think there's a potential possibility that they had already planned to bring him back.
They just wanted to,
and they were like, "Hey, like we can't go against what our one of our head chairs did."
Well, here's the thing: the shareholder meeting for the Fox deal was coming up, and they wanted to make sure, I think, that their record was good, and they were like, "We don't have a guy who's making jokes about this going through," considering that Fox deal is literally about to close. It might have already closed.
Well, so let's rewind. So back when it was happening, it was around the time that the deal was like they were doing stuff with it.
They were in talks, yeah.
Yeah, the deal officially closes on the 20th.
That's what I keep hearing. So I'm like, good. That means that if the deal is closing, then now they can bring James Gunn back and there not be any issues, maybe?
The thing is, it hasn't actually officially closed yet, and they just announced James Gunn, so I don't think that really matters.
Right, I think my conspiracy theory is more on the lines of like that / I think Feige's contract ends pretty soon.
Yeah.
And so he was very upset when Gunn was fired.
Yeah, I remember.
So I think part of it is they're like, we're going to bring Gunn back because Feige will then stay.
That's a good point. I could see Feige being like, look, if you want me to stay, I want the people who I've trusted.
The other thing is most of the fans just want him back. Like, there's not that much backlash on firing him, which is hypocritical with almost everything else.
There's a very vocal...
I think there was more vocal people about him being fired.
Well, there is always going to be that vocal minority who were like, thank God he was fired. But like...
Right.
And that's, I mean, like, fans, I think Batista was willing to walk at some point.
I think almost all of them would have walked. If one of them walked, I think more of them would have walked.
I think Batista's the only one that, realistically, they can all say whatever they want. I think at the end of the day, Batista would have been the only one.
Yanni's already dead, so that doesn't count.
Because he can go back. His brother stayed. His brother was doing,
motion for Rocket Raccoon and everything.
Well, I mean, he's Kragler.
He did the stand-in and Kraglin, yeah.
So, I think at the end of the day, Batista would be the only one to walk because he's the only one to really have anything to... Like, he doesn't have anything to lose because he can go back to WWE.
He could, and he is.
Yeah, so,
he's going to fight Triple H at WrestleMania.
I saw that.
I'm so pumped for Batista coming back, actually. He's one of my favorites.
So, I just think, realistically, he was, the reason he was willing to push for so much is because outside of Guardians, he doesn't really, do anything else, acting-wise. And there's nothing that's stuck.
I guess that's true.
He was okay in Blade Runner, but he was in it for, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then... Spectre, he said no words. He had no dialogue.
So he could lead. He could be the face of bringing back the silent movies, the talkies.
But I mean, I agree. I think there's a lot of. I mean, there's always going to be a conspiracy, and we'll never know the truth.
Yeah, no.
But I mean, I'm just glad he's back.
I am too.
I don't like Guardians 2 as much as the first one, but I do think that Gunn's vision for these characters are what it needs to be there.
Yeah, and I think that if you're looking for somebody to help you with directing films that are more cosmic level, James Gunn is probably the guy you want there.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too is this could be the last Guardians of the Galaxy, most likely.
It probably.
I think it's the last one with this team.
Well, yeah, but with this grouping of people or whatever.
We'll probably get new Guardians. I'm sure Adam Warlock will somewhat be involved.
Well, they did that whole after credit scene where it's the original team.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm really, really pumped for him coming back. It gives me hope that Guardians 3 will be as good as I want it to be. Because if they had a different director, I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold out hope that Guardians 3 is great, but I am curious about it.
I think a lot of it just depends on what happens in game.
Yeah, who lives and who comes back and blah, blah, blah.
Well, I think... Well, now we're just going to get off topic if we start talking about what we think will happen in Endgame.
Yeah, let's finish up this because we weren't supposed to spend super long on what we've been doing, Zach.
Hey, it wasn't my fault. You
were like Zach's quote before we started filming is "Don't spin forever on this so we can talk."
That's true, but I watched Guardians of the Galaxy and then we got on this James Gunn tangent, which we were going to talk about later anyway. So it's fine. I also watched Black Panther. We just see the wavelengths, and it's me just defending myself, and it's just louder.
I was laughing at the time, but
Killmonger is really good. I love him. I feel like he's the better character in the movie compared to T'Challa, but I don't know. I think everything in that movie is really solid. It deserved the Oscars that it won.
Yeah,
I think costume design. I was like, yes, you're on point. Sound design and score, I think it deserved those two. But other than that, the only other thing I really watched was Promise Neverland.
Which means we have 3 weeks to talk about. So really quickly, we have, without spoilers, we've moved.
We're on episode. We just finished episode 10.
We have 2 episodes left. We're in the end game now, boys.
Yeah.
Things have happened.
Oh man.
Isabella made some moves, and Ray, Norman, and Emma have tried to counter. It's without spoiling. It is very emotional.
Yeah. No.
It's very frustrating. Because where you thought they'd been outsmarting her at every turn, she was like...
Oh, she knew.
She's like Juke and just...
She's been ahead of them the entire time, and even ahead of, like, Sister Crone, who had her own goals.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this character's amazingly written. Like, because I'm just like, you almost, in a weird way, feel bad for the adults of this show now. That you see, like, they're... a little bit more of their history in a weird way. It's like what option do you have? You can live or you can die. Like what do you do? Basic human instinct is to live. And Isabella, in her own mind, thinks that she's doing right by giving these kids like the happiest lives they can.
Their mindset is there's no way out.
Right.
Would you rather live in this world where you could die at any moment, die of starvation, all this, or live 12 years a happy life?
Right. So it's like...
And so, like, I get that. Like, I get Isabella's mindset.
What would you choose if you were her and you were presented a way out?
Yeah.
Like, I totally get it. That doesn't mean I support it.
No, right.
But, like, I'm just like, wow, I actually get where you're coming from now. Because I'm like, how could you side with the enemy of this show? Like, they're monsters. They're literal monsters.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if I was told I could live, I probably would, you know? But I just, without getting into spoilers, man, Norman became my favorite character. Like,
yeah,
I really liked Emma at the start, but by the end of episode 10, I was like, Norman's the best one of the three, like, by far.
I love seeing, like, all of his moves he makes. Like, everything he does, there's a reason behind.
Right.
And I'm ready to go. I hate where season 1's going to end because I want to just see more.
Yeah. No, like, I love that their whole plan has been, let's get to the top of this wall.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, Norman's like, maybe we shouldn't do that. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just really good stuff. Like,
we have a live viewer today.
Oh, we have...
Dude, he's always here. He was on the mic like a couple weeks ago.
We should give him a name.
Frank.
Hello, Frank. You're going back on the mic.
But, everything about Norman's character is solid.
Frank, no, what are you doing?
Frank's just got issues.
Go.
But, no, like, everything about Norman's character is super solid.
He just rips the mic off.
I'd be very upset. But no, Norman's just such a solid character in every way. Like, he's always well composed, like, no matter what happens. Like, whereas the other ones show emotion, like, Emma cries and Ray gets really upset. Norman's there and he's like, well, okay, we have to react to this. We have to plan for this moment. We have to plan for that moment. He's got a plan behind a plan. Like, he's just really smart and well thought out. And he's the most fleshed out of the three, I think. Like, because they've shown some flashbacks, kind of, like, of when they were super young now. Like how they did in the first episode when they were really young. And it's like, even
showing when Emma and Norman really, like, first bonded, yeah.
Right, and then, like, even back then you could tell Norman was, like, the central one of the three because they both relied on Norman. So I'm like, he's the best character by far.
Where's your phone?
It's in my pocket.
But, I think...
Somebody is definitely outside. We're going to die.
I think when episode 12 wraps up, I would like to just talk.
Yeah, we're going to do
on this.
a week after episode 12 airs. Yeah. We'll do if we're... I'll let you spoil it.
I would love to talk spoilers, but you can't really because
you need to enjoy it. It's like Walking Dead, sort of. You want to enjoy it and not know.
Well, every episode almost essentially ends on a cliffhanger. Like,
yeah.
It's like, well, what's going to happen next? How do the kids react to this? What are the adults going to do if they know this kid's plan or whatever, you know? Like, it's a big game of cat and mouse. Like,
But we need to keep moving.
Yeah.
So we just
anyway,
need to keep
I'm
going.
going to let you guys go. You've been on me for a while.
Really quickly, I beat... Where the freak is my list? I beat Far Cry New Dawn. If you like Far Cry games, it's a strong recommendation. It's $40, or it's currently $20 on Amazon or Best Buy. So, as I've been trying to make Ryan buy,
I'll end up buying it.
It might be my favorite Far Cry game, except for Far Cry 4. I like the world. The biggest problems are the villains are not super great. They're not really like relatable like the villain in 4 or even kind of 5. And their villain, the boss battles you do for them suck. They're just damage sponges. Like one of them, because I didn't have a high enough level guns, took me an hour and a half, and it was just like running around and looping, and I was like, it's a good game. I love everything, all the new mechanics it brings. I hope fall over to 6 when it comes out. I beat it in about 20 hours, maybe a little bit less, but I enjoyed every minute of it except for the boss battles. But even like going back and doing the compounds again over and over, once I got high enough guns, like I had a shotgun that took out anything in like 1 to 2 hits, so I just like walked through and just like cleaned house.
Going
I like stopped doing the secret thing and I just like brought my heavy guy in who just fires rockets and just ran through.
Those are the best.
Mm-hmm. I liked it though. I misspoke last time.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah. You can actually acquire any of the companions at any point. I just didn't talk to anybody to unlock their missions. Because one of the games locked them behind each act or each area. So I was like, oh, there's 2-3 acts in this game. I was like, they're just locked behind that. And then I started talking to people. I'm like, I could have had any of these people at any point. Mm-hmm. So that was dumb on my part. I played Devil May Cry 5. Basically what happened is I played about a few hours, realized this wasn't for me, and returned it. But I enjoyed it. It's fun if you like those type of games. I like the combat a lot, but not enough where I was like, I don't really want to keep this. And so I returned it and got Division 2. So now that it took 2 days to install, I'm ready to jump in and save DC. So we'll see if I like it or not. Like it more than I did in the beta. That's all I kind of did this last week that wasn't Captain Marvel because I've been on that stupid. Oh, I did start reading Warm. If you're listening, Carly, because that's the only reason I read it, because she kept bothering me. I actually really enjoy it so far.
Oh, that's right. That's the series she told us about.
Yeah, I haven't finished. I'm almost done with the first act, which I think is... I don't understand how they work, but I enjoy it. I would buy them physically if they come out physically, just because I liked it a lot. Her powers are really interesting. I actually don't want to ruin any of it, but it's more... She told me it's like an adult version of My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
And so...
I remember her saying that. I was like, oh, okay, I'll probably...
So far, I like it. But we'll see when it gets farther in. I'll let Ryan talk about what he's got, because everything else is new stuff in trailer talk.
I've watched quite a bit of stuff. I haven't played as much games. I started Brooklyn Nine-Nine just because you guys have been talking about it. And I've watched random episodes. It's not like I've never not seen it.
Right.
But I want to start from like actually the beginning and just kind of watch through it because I've probably watched 30-something episodes.
Yeah, well, your first roommate, he watched it, and then when you lived with us is when we discovered it as well.
Yeah, so I've watched quite a bit, but I just haven't ever watched it like throughout the show. So I wanted to do that. Just because I'm getting ready for Avengers Endgame, I've been watching all the Marvel movies. It's been kind of a little bit of a grind, but...
Oh yeah? Which one did you watch?
6 weeks.
I watched actually quite a bit. I probably couldn't name all of them, but I've watched all the Iron Mans. I need to watch... I watched the first Captain America, like 2 Thors. I don't know. I've watched quite a few. Some
of those earlier ones blend together.
Yeah, they really do, like, once you start watching them, but I watched quite a bit. But I'm going to try to watch the rest of them in the next couple weeks. And then I've been on this James Bond thing, where I've just been grinding out a whole bunch of James Bond movies. There are really, really rough ones that no one hardly knows about. I was telling them about Moonwaker. I just finished that one yesterday, and that one's easily the worst one I've ever seen, and probably one of the worst movies I've seen in a long time. But that's besides the point.
There's going to be some, diehard fan.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get, murdered out there by some James Bond fan.
That's the phone we heard out there is actually James Bond himself.
It's him. He's about to take me out. You guys
Daniel Craig has been standing out there.
Hey, I like all Daniel Craig's stuff, so for the most part.
Except Spectre's not good.
Yeah. What? Spectre?
Quantum of Solace is the one that I think is not great.
I didn't think Spectre was that bad.
Oh man, I almost wanted to leave.
Quantum Solace was the only one that I think is a little rough. And then Pierce Bronson, I think.
Isn't that Brosnan?
Brosnan. Yeah, okay, we're
So
getting
we were
there.
eventually.
It's just
Give us
You
another
were
5
gonna
minutes.
get there
I always
eventually.
forget his last name. Anyways, his movies, if you rewatch them, CGI is probably one of the roughest things you'll ever see.
Well, it's 90s CGI, so...
Well, it's equivalent to like Star Wars CGI back then. So, either way, I've been kind of watching through those. I'm about to get to the Daniel Craig stuff now. Finally, I haven't watched them all in order, but I've been kind of watching them throughout. Netflix has a whole bunch of them, and I believe Hulu now has.
Hulu has some of them. Yeah.
Yes, and between both of them, I think you have like 20 out of the 24.
I think so, something like that.
Something like that. So I've been watching most of those, and then I own a few. So
Which this is not a sponsored thing, but if you have Spotify, you get Hulu for free.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
So
you can sponsor us now, though.
Disney.
Disney.
Disney owns the majority of Hulu now, so please sponsor us.
The House of Mouse just comes
Disney.
crashing through, and they're like, "You want sponsorship? Fine, but you have to sell your soul."
Done. Give me tickets to the in-game preview, and I'll do it.
And get me a whole bunch of
Endgame,
Star
let-
Wars stuff. and
Yeah.
Let
it'll
me
be
meet
fine.
Chris Evans, and we're fine.
Fly me out to every premiere, and we're done. You can have Ryan's soul.
You'll have to
Just
fight the majors, but there'll be a mutual fight for it. So we'll see who wins.
Majors gets bought out by Disney.
They just buy.
Randy's like, "I'm selling out, boys."
I just show up to the building. There's just Mickey Mouse.
It's
ears on top of the
Disney
thing.
presents.
We're like, what?
The building has been transformed into the Disney
Yeah,
castle.
there's giant ears on all the fans.
We have to run around wearing
This
the
is such an
ears.
in joke.
No one's gonna
cares?
get this.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Like the 5 people who like know us are like, this is kind of funny, I guess. I don't know.
You have to play this part for the people that we work for.
No,
It's fine.
anybody that knows what we're talking about is probably already just in the podcast. It's fair enough.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, I'm done
It's
with
just
this
for
crap.
us. Whatever.
They're like,
Okay.
I've listened long enough to this rambling. I'm done.
Yeah.
They've already clicked off.
We have like 3 weeks of catching up to do. So, okay. I watched Isn't This Romantic? Or
Isn't It Romantic?
Isn't It Romantic? Which Brandon saw that, which I didn't know you had seen.
Yeah, I talked about it on here.
It's been a while.
It was in a hodgepodge. What else came out that week?
a
you're-
bunch of films.
I do kind of remember that. Anyways, I really liked the movie. I know Brandon didn't like it that much.
I mean, I enjoyed it. It was just, it wasn't great. Like I never would watch it again.
I like movies that are creative with how they present something, because it wasn't just the classic romantic kind of. I mean, it's literally that's the point of it. but-
Right. I mean, her big revelation, I agree with. Like that was very nice to see what it was, but like all the beats were still the same. It just took to the end to be like, oh. So I was like, I enjoyed that for sure. I don't know. Some of it just felt so cheap. Just the set and everything felt super cheap.
Well, but that's what I almost,
I think
in a
that's-
weird way, I almost like that. Like the whole vibe, like you felt like you're in a fake version of La La Land,
Well, even-
like in the
well, I mean,
first half of it.
If you when she's in she's in the romantic comedy version,
Uh-huh.
I'd have been like, yeah, that's fine. But when she wasn't, it still felt like that, and that was my problem.
Yeah.
It felt more like a
yeah.
television show, which I get. It's a low budget movie, but
Yeah.
to just be
You know,
safe on return.
I mean, that was one of those movies I just sat there and kind of enjoyed it. I'm not a huge cheesy romantic type person, but I really liked it, and I'm kind of glad I saw it. I'll admit that, for once.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
For the movie itself, I'll give it an 8. And that's high for me.
What did you give?
nah, we're just.
Bumblebee? I gave it like a 9, I think.
Oh my gosh, I'm done.
I was gonna give it a 7.5. You know what? The creativity just.
I should
got
go back and try to find what you gave Bumblebee.
I'm more concerned about what he's going to give Captain Marvel now. So let's do all the news.
There's
all
gonna be
the,
a fight brawling out by the end of this.
all the big trailer
Yeah,
talk
let's just-
discussion. So this is going to cover 5 trailers that came out. We're going to start in order of their release.
Okay.
Pokemon Detective Pikachu trailer 2 dropped. If you are not confident this movie worldwide will break $1 billion,
You're wrong.
yeah.
Like, I saw a picture of Growlithe just from like set photos, and I freaked out because of how good he looked. I actually posted on Facebook. I was like, "Look what they've done to my boy! He looks perfect."
The opening where it
Like-
plays the "I want to be the very best," but really dramatic.
Yes, like this is what we've wanted for so long. Like, I'm more excited for that than I think I am Endgame, because I know Endgame's gonna be like really.
I think the biggest thing for me and where my excitement lands is this far out from both of them.
Yeah.
I'm more excited for Pokemon, but only because I've waited so long
Right,
for
like
a Pokemon
I've waited
movie.
so long for Pokemon.
Avengers,
Whereas-
I'm as excited for, but I like it's different levels of excitement. It's like the child in me is excited for Pokemon, and the like depressed version of me that knows I'm gonna cry during a game is excited for that.
When they all go
Face
and some of them don't come back, everybody in the theater's gonna be crying. There's not gonna be a dry eye. I think premiere night of
Depends on
Endgame.
who dies.
If it's
What if it's just perfect, happily ever after, and everyone?
What if
They
it? What
find
if it? What if it
Thanos.
starts cutting off to be like a perfect ending, and then Thanos just Reality Stone rips through the credits?
Kills
There's like
everybody.
another 20 minutes of the movie. And
No,
it's killing me.
at the end, it's just the vision that Tony saw in Ultron, and all the original Avengers are dead in front of him. He's like, "Oh my god!"
Here's it happened.
Well, I mean, he was shown. It wasn't a dream. He was shown.
Well, he was shown his fear.
I think he was shown the future.
That Scarlet Witch does not have power.
You don't know that.
Anyway, Pokemon.
I'm just kidding.
The Mewtwo reveal.
I freaked out. I knew that like they would have to show a legendary at some point, but like seeing Mewtwo,
I figured
I was
it
just
was,
like,
I thought it was going to be Mewtwo the whole time, though. Like,
Yeah.
if Mewtwo's the antagonist, which he might be.
So here's my problem, and this is something that depressed me when the trailer came out, only because I'd read a 4chan thing where it was like talking about Pokemon. I was like, there's no way this is real, because it also was a leak that talked about Sword and Shield, which also was real, and so I was like, I have just read something that is probably most of the movie.
Oh,
So,
you poor soul. This is why
my-
you stay away from 4chan.
I'm really excited for this. I'm just afraid that I have a lot more confidence than I did when we first talked about it. I do, but just because it's such a delicate thing,
Yeah.
like I mean, this is your shot. Like if you screw this up, then
Right.
I mean, it's going to take a little bit to
Well, and
reset.
they're already fast tracking a sequel. They're fast tracking 3 other movies already.
Yep.
Just based off like
So, and which gives me confidence that the people, the
Team
heads of
Rocket.
Disney, or I mean, not Disney,
Warner Brothers.
Warner Bros. Gosh, I keep on. Disney owns everything.
Disney to buy Nintendo.
That's probably next.
I would lose.
Well,
my mind.
but the heads basically they're watching it, and I think, and that gives us investors.
Right.
They're like, okay, this is a lot better than what we were thinking, or this is what we dreamed of.
Yeah.
And those people that, and especially those guys, it seems like Nintendo when they hire people, they're Nintendo fans, like what we had
Yeah.
a conversation about. So I think,
except for whoever made the Mario Brothers movie.
Well, that didn't count. That just doesn't.
But no,
count.
I agree. Like all that they've done a bunch of test screenings, and
Yeah.
everybody who walks away from them.
So that gives me more confidence when you talk about the $1 billion deal and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I think it's a lot more accurate. It's really the plot. It comes down to the
Right.
actual plot and the writing itself.
Which is why I think Detective Pikachu is the perfect start because
Yes.
it has an actual.
And the writing
real plot.
itself is what is with previous Pokemon movies. They've always been animated and more of a
well,
making
they're-
it more of a reality kind of thing. Would be, it with the plot and the writing itself is what I would be more interested in at this point. I think everything else is going to fit just fine. But
Yeah.
if it's a good story
Yeah.
and it really gets. Obviously, the fans that have been from the early 2000s, when
Right.
we were born, basically, we were raised as Pokemon fans. So if it encompasses that vibe, and it gets some people that don't care about Pokemon anymore, but they take their kids to it or something like
Right.
Right, and a lot of it does come down to rewatchability and accessibility.
that. Yeah.
Like, if this movie's good enough that people are willing to take their kids back, that's one. And then, unlike the original movies that came out, that was locked to people who watched the series.
Right,
Yeah.
like you had to watch the show.
There were people who watched or played the games but didn't watch the show, or played the card games in reverse. There wasn't like most of the time there was cross of like if they did one they did the other, but sometimes there wasn't.
Yeah.
And so like that was the problem with the original movies. That's what I'm hoping with Detective Pikachu can encompass all 3 of them.
Which is why, for me, I'm like, they're taking a story that, like, they're taking a Pokemon game that has an actual, like, set linear story that's different than
Right.
most of the other core games. Because, like, the core games, it's, you get your starter, you go and you get all the gym badges, and it's the same thing every game. Detective Pikachu has an actual story that they can adapt.
Yeah.
Which I think is smart for your first Pokemon film, because you can be like, this is also, this is a crime thriller for kids
Yeah.
with Pokemon.
And you can set up like there's Champion Red or there's Champion
Yeah.
Blue or any of that. You can foreshadow the Kanto region.
Yep.
You can do all this stuff and set up
and
spin-offs.
and open
Right.
up
Yeah.
open up the world. And what's fun, I think is the most interesting thing is Ryan Reynolds is like the center of all.
Yeah,
this.
and he's been like I loved his inside the actor thing where it's like the day I learned I got the role of Pikachu, I just became him. I didn't go pick up my daughters from school because that little guy wouldn't know who they were.
It's so good.
So like he's committed to this. And
Yeah.
like he's
Well, you
willing-
watch him in Deadpool,
Right.
And how many hours and hours of filming that he did just for little prop things
Right,
and
and
little
so, like-
random like crap.
I know.
You still see stuff that's
Yeah.
coming out from like other stuff that he just did, and you're like, what is this?
Yeah,
we
and
don't
since-
get Pikachu jokes in Deadpool though.
But
Like,
since he's invested in it, that means that
Right.
like he will do this.
and
He's
that's what I'm
Yeah.
Right, he's
happy
dedicated.
about.
So here would be my thing though, just so we're clear. Opening weekend, it does not matter how much it makes here in the United States.
Japan and China are gonna take it.
I think internationally, this has a huge demographic that like people don't think about. Granted, I still think it's $100 million opening here. Slowly makes a bunch, but you have a lot of competition. But I think international numbers is what's going to pull it.
And what
Yeah.
weekend is this coming out?
like 3 weeks after Endgame.
Yeah, May 10th.
Yeah,
But then the problem is we'll talk
You're
about
gonna have
another movie. Is
Yeah.
2 weeks after that you have Aladdin. A week after that you have Godzilla. Weeks after that
there's a lot of stuff going to happen back to back.
We have a big
so.
summer, and it's
Yep.
what is the best of them all that can overtake. It's whatever's good. Which one do families go to?
I'm just like, I see it being Endgame, Godzilla, Detective Pikachu in terms of gross.
I don't know anymore.
Like
You really think Godzilla's going to?
Godzilla's
Leave that
gonna go
up.
Not
nuts.
in if we're talking worldwide.
Yeah.
Worldwide.
I know
in
America's
in
not
just
gonna do
America,
anything
no.
for it, so.
But if you include like China and Japan and just the entire international market, Godzilla is a beast.
Yeah, well, the
Like-
first one actually made 100 million, almost 100 million opening weekend here in the States.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Which that
People are
that
intrigued
that
by giant
surprises me.
monsters.
that's a crazy number. No one saw that coming.
And now
And
there's
you
gonna
never
be,
hear anything about Godzilla like when it's out here.
Right.
Like, I
Well,
hardly ever see anything about it.
It's one of those properties that like a bunch of people know about, but like they don't think about it until a new one comes out.
Right.
And it's
because they're
the
like-
fans. I
Yeah.
mean, you got like your fan, like your dad. That's all I think
But
about. is
no,
your dad.
like I think people are just intrigued by giant monsters, and whenever they come out, people are intrigued by them. Like
Well,
Pacific
I think
Rim, when it
Americans
came out,
aren't as
people were like,
intrigued
"Oh,
by that
yeah,
stuff
like, I
anymore
gotta
because
see
we've
that."
had so many
Right.
different big things like that. But
Yeah.
like in other countries, that's still.
But
like
now,
a
like we're
big
getting a
thing.
big theatrical release with all these other monsters that are coming to fight.
I do think
Like,
anytime a Godzilla or King Kong movie comes out because they know those characters,
Yeah.
they're more willing to go see them.
Yeah.
But let's keep moving through our talk. So before we cut to any more movies, just really quickly, Pokemon Sword and Shield was announced. A trailer dropped. The starters, which oh my gosh, I can't-
Grookey.
Nope. Whatever the water one, Sobi.
Sobi looks good.
I mean, I think all the
I
starters
like all
look
of them
good.
look great, but I'm going Grookey. I already know.
Water for life. But
No,
I just wanted like that
Grass
trailer,
Boy.
that Nintendo week because we had the Detective Pikachu, and then the day later we had the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, I
with
know.
the Pokemon. It just looks. I want to see more. But
I
I'm
want
so
more
excited.
like, as soon as possible.
I'm glad we're going back to the classic.
Yeah.
So it's going to be more like the other ones instead of Let's Go. Even though Let's Go had some good elements, I think people just
Which version are you going to get, Sword or Shield?
a sword.
Why?
Who? Because it has a sword dog on it.
So you're a fan of Captain America and you don't want Shield version?
Well, do you see the sword dog?
yes.
Yeah.
but Shield.
If there is a Pokemon that is part dog, part sword, I will be throwing however much money Nintendo wants.
It's a sword dog. Okay, I can see you.
They're running out of ideas.
Honestly, I think that's one of the more original ideas they've had in a while.
Sword dog. But we'll see. I mean, version exclusive stuff's going to start coming out. I could be like, I will get Shield, but
Yeah.
and Sword's blue. I just.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
But yeah, I think that was really cool. Love that the trailer came out, and I was out of. I mean, it wasn't out of nowhere because the Pokemon Day was coming up, so everyone's kind of
Yeah.
like,
Expecting it.
we think this is happening, but. And that helps with your direct talk to how you were very upset that there wasn't Pokemon. There, you got it.
Yeah, I know.
The next trailer that came out was. No, it'd have been X-Men.
Oh, Dark Phoenix.
So, the cast
uh,
is interesting.
I don't care.
The cast is always good. Like they've been. Did you see
Yeah.
Apocalypse?
Yeah.
I didn't. I didn't see it. I heard it was
Probably
bad.
don't really
so I
wish
was like,
I
I
saw
don't.
it, but
It's not the worst one. That still goes to Last Stand and Origins.
I think Origins is the worst by far.
I'm really
Last Stand doesn't even really matter anymore because of Days of Future Past, though.
Professor X.
McAvoy.
Yeah, Mac. I'm really interested.
He's really good,
Yeah.
and I like young Magneto as well. But
Fassbender. I agree. The cast is always good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like when they're not, this is the biggest problem. There was no director for this film until Simon Kinberg, who had written the rest of them, never directed, is doing it.
Well, I mean, maybe he's the one that changes it all.
He did do all the.
the.
He was the second director on Fan 4 Stick.
yeah, no.
Well, then it's
there's-
gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic.
There was an international trailer that came out. I don't know if you guys watched it. It was a little bit better, but some friends asked me, they're like, "Aren't you so excited for it?" I'm like, "No."
So what's weird?
I feel like
I think
they're
this is
doing
gonna be the
this just
forgotten
so that
movie
they can-
because if Fox and all this gets moved over and
Yeah.
they do a hard reset, which I don't know what the whole.
I think they're
approach
just
of
going to end it. They're
Well,
gonna be
so here's basically everything I've heard, and this is you will until after March 20th. I would say Comic-Con, maybe D23. You won't hear anything.
they just cancel a movie.
Well, Dark Phoenix will be out before then.
Oh.
I think it's just gonna be forgotten. It's gonna be caught in the middle of all this,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't matter.
People aren't going to care because Marvel's going to, or
They're gonna try to fetch
Disney
a
and
few more
Marvel are gonna
million.
be like, well, this is what we're doing. We're. Like,
I think so. Here's everything I've heard: is New Mutants is not coming out in theaters; is being moved to Disney
that's
Plus
what
streaming,
I've heard.
and then Dark Phoenix will just come out. It'll just be a thing because it'll end all of it, and then
Yeah.
Disney will reboot it in a
Yeah.
few years. Because there's no way. I've heard so many different things. I think if X-Men or Fantastic Four come in, is not till 2021 at the earliest.
Yeah, I think they need to give it
Yeah.
a little bit of a break.
Whatever is gonna go on with the Marvel universe after
Yeah.
after all this, and as it starts getting going with their new whatever happens after Endgame,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
And then they introduce that could be a really big help boost.
Right. I think you see Fantastic Four first,
I do too.
and then they do Avengers 5, and in Avengers 5 they tease X-Men.
They tease mutants that have been in
Because you
hiding or
want to give a
something.
few years between the last movie.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
these, even if you don't like them, everyone associates these actors with
Yeah.
these, so you need to let
Right.
it have time.
Yeah.
Like even by 2021, people are going to be like, well, why don't you just bring back Hugh Jackman? I think that you're still going to see that because people are going to
Yeah.
be dedicated to that
getting
character.
But
it's
Dark
like-
Phoenix does not look great. I really want to
I
bring
don't
it up
think it does
because I unfortunately will see it. Because when they asked me why I wasn't excited, and then if I was going to see it, I said yes, I'm going to see it. And they're like, well, then you're excited. I'm like, no, I'm just a whore. And so I am not excited for Dark Phoenix.
I don't know
Here's
if
the
I've
thing,
been
I want-
excited for an X-Men movie.
Not since Days of Future Past.
Days of Future
Logan.
Past was the last one.
Oh,
Logan,
okay,
okay,
fine.
Logan.
Logan was the only one, yeah.
I cried at the end of Logan.
Yeah, Logan
Like,
got
that
me.
movie's really
me and
good.
that Asian dude in our theater, just crying in that row.
No, man, like I loved Logan. I loved Days of Future Past. I didn't see Apocalypse, so I can't judge that one.
It's not great.
I heard that they just didn't do anything really fun with it, and Apocalypse as a villain was kind of just
There's a few minutes of Magneto living his own life.
Yeah.
That stuff is really good,
Yeah.
and that is the only good part of the movie. After that, you're like,
I just remember after the end of Days of Future Past being really excited
for where
what
they could
were gonna
go,
do.
and when they teased Apocalypse,
yeah, I was
and
like,
then the movie
oh,
came out.
and then it came out, and everybody was like, this is really disappointing, and I was like, how is this disappointing? I read some reviews, I just saw that critics and fans didn't like it, and they were like, it was just a huge letdown, so they just kind of let it fall by the wayside. I feel like it's a forgotten movie at this point compared to the other ones. Like, people just pretend it doesn't exist. It's not bad enough to be recognizable like Last Stand or Origins. Like, people
I think
go
people
out of
do
their
just
way to
forget
talk
that it
about
came out.
those ones. I feel like people forget about Wolverine as well.
And I think, if you wanted to sit down, if you put all the movies in front of them and you were rank them, I think people would rank the Wolverine higher than you remember.
Yeah, I think so. I really liked him in Japan. I thought that was fun.
I'm getting ready. I was gonna rewatch a lot of them with my fiance because I wanted her to see Logan because she's never seen it.
Oh yeah, she should.
Because I was like, part of Logan, and this could be debated. Part of Logan's appeal and why people like it so much is because of the attachment.
Yeah,
I think if you watched,
if you
watched
didn't
it
know,
without any other
if you didn't like Hugh
context-
Jackman or just the character at all,
Yeah. Well, I
mean-
then that movie wouldn't really mean to me.
it was
Right.
a role
I
that
don't
was
think it
like
would.
what 16 or 17 years in the making. I think it was
99, and then we saw it in 2017,
Yeah,
so 18
Yeah.
years.
yeah, 18 years. Wow. That makes me feel old.
Yeah. But so that was it quickly. Just want to talk about X-Men since it came out. Figured we should talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, let's just move on.
Aladdin.
Okay. I'm gonna let you take this one because you probably say everything that I want to say, and I know what you're gonna say. So
Let me do some stretches. Let me do
just to let you
He
guys
could
know,
be
he's gonna
yelling in the
stand up
mic
and
in a few
yell.
seconds, so prepare your ears.
I won't. I am much more kind than that. Except for you losers who all were like, the genie looks so bad! The genie looks awful! Ah! What's that? Some of you are like, wow, that trailer was really good.
Yep.
Should have listened, should have waited. It was literally, okay. That genie spot, one, should have never come out.
No.
I think it only came out because Disney was like, being pushed to promote Aladdin more. And they're like, well, we're not really done with the first real trailer. Because you remember, we've only had a teaser trailer and a special look.
Yep.
Neither of them were full trailers. So the special look came out just because I think they were like, well, we need to remind people about Aladdin. Let them see the genie. And so I think that was a mistake. Marketing, whatever department there, whoever did that, release that should have been fired.
They probably were.
Hope. I mean, maybe you're a good person. I don't know. 'Cause you should not have done that. You
Well,
should
that
have.
guy's
We were asking
listening
for a
right
Disney
now.
sponsor earlier, and now we're like, that person should have been fired.
You should have thought that through when releasing that. So with that being said, though, this trailer, the first real trailer to Aladdin,
Great.
is amazing, and it is so frustrating that I had to sit there for weeks waiting
Waiting for the real
for the
trailer.
trailer to come out because I defended the genie, I
Yep.
defended Aladdin, and I was like, it is going to be good. It's just it's not done. Like we
Yeah.
are too far out.
Trailers aren't even finished products.
Yeah.
It's just a trailer is literally just to get you excited to see a movie. So it's like people were like, "Oh, that doesn't look great." Okay, that's fine, but you realize that this isn't the finished product. You want to see the real result, go see the movie.
Right.
That's all a trailer is supposed to do, is to set a hook. So maybe people just weren't
Which
intrigued
they've
by
got to be
it, but
pretty stinking close to being finished with it. Since
Right,
They
well,
don't
I
have
mean, but
much
like-
time,
well,
but
usually
yeah.
when a trailer comes out, it's already past post production.
What? No.
Sometimes.
No. A month and a half. Like Avengers just wrapped the other day on
Yeah.
there. So there was they're a month out. So in April they'll be done with Aladdin.
Yeah.
So like that's plenty of time to go back and finish touch up on CGI and whatever. So that's what I'm saying is like they were nowhere near done, and so like
Right.
that should not have been released. And everyone's, I understand why you see that. If they had released more trailers, if it was like a full trailer and it was like it looked that bad, I'd been like, okay.
So I'm gonna say one thing about Aladdin. I'm really excited for it. I think the trailer looks great. I think Disney has more pressure to make Aladdin do well than almost not. So make sure you guys hear me on this. Not as much as Avengers by any means or Star Wars, but I think it's pretty stinking close. Just because they're starting a whole different.
I think people will not forgive them if they bomb a live action
Aladdin,
remake.
just because there's so much childhood connections with it. I know there's obviously the MCU
Right.
they could really screw that up if they wanted to, and Star Wars, which they already screwed it up. So not as.
I
but
disagree.
I shouldn't have said that.
I mean, outside of
debatable.
Last Jedi, which is
Yeah.
okay.
It's-
Like I don't think it's
I
bad.
think it's fine. We should actually have an episode about
Yeah,
that.
wait, let's
But,
don't get
okay.
off topic here. So, but what I'm saying though is Aladdin, it looks good as long as it does exactly
Right.
what we want,
Mm-hmm.
which poor Disney. I don't feel bad for them.
Yeah, I mean,
they're
they're-
asking for all of this,
yeah.
and they bought everything out.
Well,
so
they have so much money, it doesn't really matter.
it doesn't matter. But at the same time,
Ivory
I
Tower.
think they have almost as high stakes as they do with Avengers and Star Wars this year.
I would agree with that, but Beauty
Because
and
you
the
also
Beast.
have Lion King coming out too.
Well, that's their fallback. If Aladdin sucks, they'll
Yeah.
release Beauty and the Beast,
Yeah.
and everyone will forget.
And
or a Lion King.
Dumbo's.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah, it
have
has,
Dumbo,
it has
too.
positive reviews.
And that
They have-
came out with the that was another trailer that came out in the last couple of weeks, like the new
There was a
trailer?
new one. Yeah, I haven't.
Okay.
I saw. Yeah,
I
with
watched
the
the new
monkey and the
trailer,
yeah.
It looks fine.
Yeah, I mean, everyone said it was fun, and it's not actually a remake.
Oh, it's its own original thing.
It is the original story and a sequel.
Really?
Yeah, that's why it's longer.
That's neat.
Yeah, which
I'll
I
have
wish
to
they
see
would
it then.
market it as that instead of because I read a
'Cause
first Twitter reaction.
I'm
they're
not
like,
the biggest fan of the actual cartoon Dumbo.
Yeah, I don't really remember liking it. but-
I don't like it as much as a lot
It
of
kinda
people do.
creeped me out when I was little.
Yeah.
I remember just being sad.
Yeah, and depressed.
Yeah,
I
it
was
just
just
kind of
like,
creeped me
this
out.
movie's not happy.
When he's like on the train, he's just crying or whatever.
Yeah,
I was
when
like-
his mom holds
Yeah.
him before.
I was
Yeah,
I was like, I can't do this to myself. But now knowing that it's like a sequel, I'm actually really intrigued. And
yeah,
I'll have to watch
I
that.
will see it now for sure, and I'll need something to hold me over until. we
Yeah,
get
I
to
think
Endgame.
the CGI looked.
Oh, yeah, I think
It looks
Dumbo looks good.
Yeah.
Dumbo looks great. But
But
yeah,
I'm willing to be wrong about Aladdin. I'm willing to eat crow when it comes out. If it's not at least a 7, I'm willing to eat crow and be like, okay.
it's like a 6.8 out of 10.
I think it's more the
IGA.
acting itself. Is
Yeah,
gonna be
which
the-
I think
the
Aladdin seems
underlying.
fine. I think
Yeah.
Jasmine seems fine. The
The-
only one that worries me is Jafar.
Jafar, yeah.
But-
They haven't shown a whole lot about him.
Here's something that I've seen a lot of discussion on and debate. In the original, Jafar should have been younger because of like the whole when he's like, I'm gonna try to marry her rule and all this, and it makes more sense why. If you had somebody who looked like the original Jafar, you wouldn't trust him. You would not have them as your consultant, as your as the Sultan's.
Yeah, no,
Whatever.
he looks
There's
like the most classic, like cartoony,
Yeah.
twirl your mustache looking villain. So it's like, I wouldn't trust that guy.
yeah, the new one. Like a lot of people are like, he's kind of hot. Like if you look at photos
He's
of him,
supposed to be sneaky like a snake.
so like
so,
it makes sense that he isn't. Now, granted, voice wise, Jafar's original voice is just so good, so intimidating.
Oh yeah,
But like, I actually like I understand the reasoning more as we get farther because you would not trust that guy.
right.
There is nobody in the world, unless they were just a complete idiot, who'd be like, if somebody who looked like Jafar came up to you, at least first impression, you'd be like, there's something wrong here.
yeah.
That guy's just not from around here, are you?
I'm good.
And so like that's when somebody was like making that case on Reddit. I was like, I agree with that. Like I was like, I
Yeah.
understand that's very like
I can see that.
judgmental, but like that judgment would come out to be right because Jafar looks like a creep. So like that
he
and
looks
then,
like he's supposed to be a villain.
right. I want to address Will Smith.
Okay.
I read this long post. I should just screenshot it and read it out. They're making the case that for us, a lot of people's first impressions of Robin Williams was the genie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The problem is all the adults, that was just Robin Williams. But
Yeah.
to us, that's Robin Williams' genie. So this is going to be the counter for anybody taking their kids to see Aladdin is Will Smith will always be Will Smith the genie.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
we're like, oh, that's Fresh Prince. Not I Am Legend, but like Fresh Prince, Pursuit of Happiness, all these
I
other
Am
Like
like
Men in Black,
one
all
that
those
pops
other
up.
things.
yeah. And so that will
No,
always
that's
be
a good point.
our thing. But like because like I'd probably seen Mrs. Doubtfire and Hook before I saw Aladdin. Maybe
I remember seeing Flubber before I saw
Ooh, Flubber.
Aladdin.
Yeah, I had that on VHS. I
Yeah,
watched that a
man.
lot.
The green like VHS tape.
But to make the argument is that is why I think we're so butthurt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not us per se, but I understand
But
why
like
people
our generation
are.
slash
Is because Robin Williams'
In the-
comedy to us is defined by the genie, but it actually wasn't.
Exactly.
That was just
Yeah,
Robin
he's
He
got
was
Williams.
so
just
many other
filling. Yeah, he
roles,
was just
yeah.
doing his job.
He's still great as it. Like
Yeah.
still, it's
Oh yeah.
right. It's
Yeah, I
probably
think
my
that-
favorite role that he has
In-
next to maybe Good Will Hunting.
People. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of his best. But I actually thought Will Smith was a good pick.
Oh, I do too. I think
that was
he's-
a really
I think
good.
he's great.
I think he's one of the few people who could do it.
Yeah, and he's like older now. Will Smith
Yeah.
is older now, where I feel like that's more of a role that he's really going to embrace, or he did embrace, I should say, since he's done. But so I'm actually, when they said that was Will Smith, I didn't really.
No, I was like,
I
was
was
like
gonna
perfect because
complain about it.
he can sing,
Yeah,
even though it's going to be a little more hip hoppy than people are
yeah.
probably
Well,
ready for.
he's gonna have. There's gonna be a little bit more slang. Probably you
Yeah.
can probably hint the slang.
He's gonna
kind of-
have his own style.
Yeah.
Like,
But
which
that's
is a
how. But
good
that's how
thing.
Robin Williams was, though. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't just some other voice actor.
It's
It was
his style,
It was
yeah.
his style.
Right, like,
that
You
and
have
no one
to,
had Robin Williams' style, and no one really has Will Smith's type of. He has his own little tweak.
Yeah.
to it,
Yeah.
So
Like, and I actually really appreciate that they went for something so different than Robin Williams' Genie, because it's like, well, now you're just trying to do Robin Williams. I don't want them to do that because I want Robin Williams' Genie to stay intact, but I want us to have a different version of that character.
Right. I think the scene where he's like, "Make me a prince." There's a lot of gray area in "Make me a
Yeah.
prince,"
Yeah.
and like that scene, like that one line of dialogue, I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, he's probably perfect. I was like,
Yeah.
it's a different genie.
Mhm.
Or when he's like, I'm in control, and he just like
It's,
blows him
it's
back.
a different Genie with a different tone, because stuff that works in cartoon doesn't necessarily work in live action.
Mm-hmm.
So like the way that they're handling the genie, like him having like this human form / then his form from when he comes out of the lamp, I'm like, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like, because you can't have a giant blue-looking ghost flying around being like, hey, what's your wish? Like,
Yeah.
in front of other people and stuff. That's going to freak them out. Like, I don't know. I really appreciate that they're willing to take extra precaution with a role that people care about so much.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that Disney cares, too. They want to keep Robin Williams' legacy intact. Because even if this movie sucks, we still have Robin Williams' Genie. And
Yeah, there's always the original, because I know a lot of people who hate the new Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change your opinion on the
It doesn't
original.
change the opinion on the original.
The original exists. Like, you never have to worry about it being tainted.
It's the same with, like, what I said about, like...
Except for Ghostbusters 2016.
Yeah. But, like, what I said about, like, the Joker, for example. Like, everybody's going to have their favorite version of that character. Because that's a character that people care about. I personally really like Jack Nicholson's live-action version. But I know almost everybody prefers Dark Knight. I'm like, I don't feel like you're ever going to meet the Dark Knight standard of Joker now. So instead of trying to implicate that, just do your own version of the character.
I mean,
which
no
again
matter
is like
what, when you have a storyline like Aladdin or anything, they're gonna have remakes.
Yeah.
We're old. There's gonna be
Yeah, no, well,
there's going to be another Aladdin.
Well, there's already talks of a Harry Potter reboot. So, like, this is just where we're at, guys.
we just have to deal with it. So
Listen, if you do Harry Potter and you mess it up, I'll be very upset.
that's gonna be.
They'll do Cursed Child first, and then I'd say in another 20
Yeah.
years, you see.
What I would like for them to do is to honestly do almost an animated series for Harry Potter, and just you can take all the chapters of the book and make them their own episode.
Or Netflix gets the rights
Yeah,
to Harry
Netflix
Potter.
could do it.
Mm.
And
That would
then,
never happen. But.
And then, like, each season is each book. Like, season 1 would be Sorcerer's Stone. Season 2 would be Chamber of Secrets, then Prisoner of Azkaban, all the way up until the end. That way you can break it up and you can have, like, maybe
More
10
in-depth,
episodes or something per
now,
season.
granted, I made that joke, but Warner Brothers would never sell it.
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't, but I would like to see.
Yeah,
that's
they have
That's
Universal
like their biggest
Studios is part of a
series.
theme park that
Yeah.
They're like,
But
okay,
no,
well,
I'm just
half
like-
this thing's going.
Yeah.
I could see them doing something with Harry Potter down the line. That would be something I would like to see, because there's a lot of stuff from the books that they had to cut that I really liked. And I know we're getting into Harry Potter now, and we probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
But
But like
that's a
one day
series
there'll
I'm
be
super
reboots of
passionate about.
everything.
Right.
So like
That-
just
that's my point. Is
Yeah.
no matter what, we have to keep on moving,
At some
and it
point, we're gonna
sucks
get
because
another
Rob Williams
MCU.
isn't here with us anymore. But at the same
Like-
time, I mean, we could wait 20 more years. We're still gonna be sour about it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
No.
just how
we'll
it's
be
gonna
like, we'll be there with our kids and be like, look, Dad, this Aladdin tree, and I'll smack the phone. I'll be like, that's not Will Smith.
15
Will
years from
Smith
now,
in 20 more years. Oh, jeez.
15 years from now, we're going to probably get a new Iron Man or Captain America, and people are going to be like, that's not
Maybe.
Chris Evans, that's not Robert Downey Jr. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's just part of
because I
it,
feel
but-
like
You
they're
have
just
to,
like,
I
we
think
have to
there has to
retain
be
the
a
rights
rule
and
of
we
like
have
a
to do all this
20-year
other
gap
stuff.
between
Yeah,
stuff
I
like
don't know.
that
Like,
Yeah.
for generations.
Everybody's got a favorite version of something because things get remade. It's
Yep.
just where
And
we're
right
at.
now we're in the generation gap of everything's getting remade. And
Yeah,
everything's
which I think we'll have, after this, I think
upgraded.
we'll have maybe 15, 20 years of no remakes. That's a lie. Disney will remake everything, then we'll have a small gap of period, and then it starts back over.
Mm-hmm.
But to tie into what
Live-action Bambi.
we were talking about is like reboots and stuff. Leading into our next thing is not what you think it is. Marvel announced a What If animated series for the Disney streaming service with the original actors
This
playing
is
the
really
voice,
interesting.
playing the voices of doing what if stories that exist in the MCU.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, one of the projects I heard talked about is if Loki was able to lift Thor's hammer in.
Yeah, I think
On,
that type of stuff could be really cool.
Yeah, so I think there's like one where there's a what if comic where Spider-Man doesn't become a hero, becomes a late night talk show host, has like a cape, and just sits there.
Oh,
and,
like in Spider-Verse where they show the costume with the cape?
yeah,
Yeah.
he just sits there and runs a talk show. So like,
I love stuff like that, though. I love when a franchise can take like the goofier or even the more serious elements of their franchise and be like, we could do a like 2-episode thing about that or something in a cartoon form.
well, right, and having
Like,
it animated, you
Yeah,
have
you can
so much
you have
more
so
freedom.
much more freedom.
Because then you don't, if you cast somebody, people aren't going to be like,
Well, that's Loki. That's
Well-
not Tom Hiddleston. Like,
well, I've heard a lot of talks. We won't know anything until in
Yeah.
April. Sometime I heard they're doing like an announcement thing where they're going to show off
April
how
is
the
just gonna be crazy.
yeah how much it's
It's
what the streaming service cost and
Right.
what all like is launching on it.
you could.
But I think this is what I was wrapping back to is if it's not live action, then that way, like, let's say Donald Glover does play somebody
Right.
somebody else, we're like, well, then he's that character in live action because we will
Yeah.
be mentally attached to that. So if you have an animated, you can have whoever you want.
Right.
But I think a lot of the main characters, they'll probably have the original actors return from what I've heard,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
So, like, you could have Robert Downey Jr. and Captain America actually fight to the death, for example.
Yeah.
Or you could have, I don't know, you could have Hawkeye actually retire and then really show us the story of him becoming Ronin in that way, and Jeremy Renner could do the voice for it.
Yeah,
Or
there's all sorts of stuff.
You
That's
might
that's
get-
what I
you might
like
get-
about it.
You
is
might get
could-
Black Widow's origin that way.
Well, and I think they've thought
Or
of a lot of
something.
things that we would
Mhm.
never even think of, and that's what I'm intrigued by. Is by you're like, oh, I've never even thought about like that combination or what.
Whenever
that
you
could
do
happen.
something animated, you can do a whole lot more with it. I agree. You have a lot more freedom. You have a lot more range to do whatever you want. Your characters can express things in a different way on their face than what human emotion can display. It's a lot easier to get different characters and make them look better.
Yeah.
Example would be Groot or Rocket Raccoon. Like, they look great in the MCU, but like if you don't have a good budget, they could look really bad.
Yeah.
Versus animation, you can do essentially whatever you want. I mean, look at Into the Spider-Verse. That movie looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited. The more animated stuff that Marvel does, the better, because I feel like a lot of their animated stuff isn't that great.
It's
So I would-
alright. I've seen
Of
here's
what I've seen that I've gone out of my way, I'm like, this is good.
Spectacular Spider-Man is one of the best superhero TV shows and one of the
Yeah.
best incarnations of Spider-Man. It just sucks that like, but anyway, but I just want to bring that up because I thought that was cool and that was
Yeah.
something I wanted to like just quickly talk about because, I mean like it's just another reason why I want the
Animated
streaming
MCU.
service.
Yeah.
Like it'd be cool to see what if like.
Yeah.
I think Disney's already just sold their streaming.
Oh
service,
yeah,
so
all they
by a
announced was
couple
this. For you was just when they're like Clone Wars season 7
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
and
Got
the Mandalorian show.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm pumped.
and I think they're gonna do a ton of stuff with Star Wars.
Well, they're doing the Rogue One show as well, the
Yes.
prequel for which is what. One of my biggest problems with Rogue One is now we're having to like because like oh my gosh, the two guys that watched the Jedi Temple got their own book.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
I know who
Wait,
you're
what?
talking about.
the blind guy.
The blind guy. he
Oh,
got his own
They
book.
got a
Oh.
book. My problem with Rogue One, it's just I don't know why.
They're
we're
just
not-
expanding on those characters.
yeah,
It's
you have
like,
to
we know
get
that
like the
they're
real
gone.
attachment to them. You have to like expand on them instead of what should have been on the movie. Anyway,
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's don't get into
Yeah,
that.
sorry.
Because they'll-
but it's cool to see that they're going back and doing some of the other
Right.
shows. But the last news thing we'll talk about, and then we'll do our review of Captain Marvel, is of course the big trailer dropped that right now after 24 hours is the second most viewed trailer of all time. That is 268 million views in 24 hours. Is Avengers Endgame.
About 100 of those are mine.
100 million.
No, I'd literally just be mashing refresh nonstop if that was the case. What'd you guys think?
It was a good trailer. It didn't show anything more. It
Right.
gave me enough stuff to be like, I think this is happening, this is happening.
Right.
And then I finished the trailer after I said all that, and I was like, but in the Infinity War
Yeah, it
trailer,
doesn't-
there
it
is
doesn't
so much
matter.
fake footage.
Yeah, and that the
Right.
thing with Robert Downey Jr. being back on Earth or whatever.
I
I'm
think
sure you
that's
guys
real.
looked- Yeah, I mean, I really think it is real.
Oh, yeah.
because I want that last like hurrah with the group. You
Yeah.
know,
I think
and
they
I
all
think
go
everybody
back
wants
and-
that. I don't want him to just go die off into space
Well,
or
like-
whatever reason, whatever people think.
Well, they had to have filmed something because in the other trailer they show, I think it's only 6 people walking. Like they have that same walk in the trailer. They just have it shot at a different angle.
but they
and
didn't have the
they sh-
uniforms on though.
They did. But
They
it
did.
was just, so you
It-
don't
it's
see.
just that they're further
Yeah,
away.
you don't see up close.
And
But-
you only see a certain amount of people walking, but now they've added Nebula and Tony Stark
and Ronan.
and Ronan. And I think that was just because they wanted people to be like, well, then those characters obviously aren't going to be with them, so maybe they're on a different mission, which you
Or
didn't-
that Stark dies. That was the biggest thing.
right. And I don't see Stark dying in space. I just don't see it. I think if anything, he's going to be rescued by Captain Marvel,
No. I think, and this is, people I've
or
heard.
they're going to save themselves.
I've heard so much discussion on that. I think Tony has to be the one to save himself.
Mm-hmm.
I think in one last ditch effort, him and Nebula pull it together and get the
Well-
ship to work. Because if it's Captain Marvel, that is so
Yeah.
cheap.
In the old trailer, I think they actually show Tony and Nebula working on
They
something.
do.
So it's
In
like
the
that's
Super
them,
Bowl TV spot.
Yeah, that's them getting together and doing something to escape.
Or, here would be my other theory. He makes a beacon, to
Okay.
project more.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start piecing together footage from other things. So a little bit of spoilers for Captain Marvel.
If you end up being, oh yeah,
The after credit scene spoiler. I'm sorry. It's just to talk about everything I want to. I have to talk about that. At the Disney did a shareholder meeting where they showed a scene with Captain Marvel talking to Captain America and them, and they talk about how they have to go to space to go find something. They're not alluding to what it is,
yeah,
but it leads this whole scene where Captain Marvel, Cap, Rhodey, Banner, Thor, and I think Rocket all go to space. So I think maybe that is how they go find Stark.
maybe,
That is the beginning of like time travel and all that weird stuff. So who knows?
probably.
But I think Stark does come back to Earth. I think there is. I don't think Captain
Yeah.
Marvel finds him on the way there because she's so focused on getting back to the beacon.
So I guess my question would be, knowing that there's set photos of Pepper Potts in the rescue suit, do you think maybe she goes into space too, looking for Tony?
maybe I actually haven't
Because
seen
they
any of those.
say that like she's supposed to be.
I've seen a picture. Of
I've heard
her
that she has a
being-
pretty big role, but they haven't really shown anything for her, so I don't know if that's them just misdirecting us. But I would think
I
if they're
will-
saying
I
this is
do
her
think
last
that-
film, that she's going to do something.
I think there's a chance that she like figures out how to get to them or whatever and helps them fix it, and then they
Maybe.
can go back. Because maybe there's like some hidden thing that Tony hid somewhere, and then she found it. She goes, "Oh my gosh!" and it just kind of hits, and maybe that's towards the beginning of the movie, and then like that's her like mission
What I've
to
heard
get
is
out there.
everything's like the first 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah,
of
everything
the
you see in the
movie.
trailers,
Yeah.
except for
Feige
said they've tried everything, but the fight there's no way those fight scenes are in the first 30 minutes.
No. Cap, like, reattaching his shield, that's got to
Cap and Exhaustion, Nebula, and then
Rocket and War Machine.
Rocket, War Machine, Ant-Man with the pencil, and Ronan running through the exploding.
That's got to be towards at least the middle.
It's
Yeah.
the opening scene.
Well, it could be him running from the Yakuza,
That's true. That could be that.
and
And
the
then,
Yakuza blowing up stuff. But I think there'll be more trailers and TV spots. Will I watch them? We'll see.
yeah.
I'm very bad at not
You
controlling
think
myself.
they're really gonna release too much more? To be honest,
They will do a bunch of TV spots.
I mean,
Yeah,
but
TV
new,
spots,
new
but-
stuff though.
But like a
I
full
can't see them
trailer, I
putting
don't
too
see
much
another
more.
full trailer maybe.
I don't.
I can see maybe
Maybe-
one more kind of a
We're
summary
we're,
in between.
We're 5 to 6 weeks away, so I don't.
yeah.
I don't
know.
see another full trailer.
TV spots. I would say you see. Do you know? Okay, so I want you to take a guess. Do you know how many Age of Ultron TV spots there were?
12.
5.
Because those are your final answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
There are 33 TV spots for Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Wow.
Most of them featuring brand new footage.
Well, do you
Well,
really
there's
think
not
they're
going to be
gonna-
that many
Do you
on
really
this
think
one.
they're going to do that though?
No, well, I mean, even I think there could be a
What-
bunch.
I
Star
mean,
Wars
how
had
many-
Star Wars: Force Awakens had 28.
Oh, yeah,
That's true.
Yeah,
But,
I know
like-
that.
but like, I get what I understand.
What about the first Infinity?
Oh, I have no idea.
Probably quite a bit.
I didn't feel like there was as much. Like
I
compared
feel
to
like
any
they're
other-
trying to keep this movie under wraps. They don't
Yeah,
want
that's my
anything
point.
getting out.
Yeah.
So like, and I think they've done a really good job at that. Like this trailer, most of it was them showing us stuff from previous films where it highlighted the color red in like the flashbacks. Like Cap is carrying Peggy's casket in Civil War, and the only thing that's in color is the color red. There's a flashback of Thor talking to his dad, and the only thing that's red is his cape and the flags in Asgard and stuff. And I'm like, clearly, they're trying to do everything they can to keep us from learning too much. And then, like, I don't know, I think the color red, maybe due to the Reality Stone, there's going to be something based on that. Like, I think, obviously, the Infinity Stones are going to play a major part in this movie. They have to.
Yeah.
But it's like, which ones do? I'm assuming Space Stone because of Captain Marvel. Reality Stone maybe because maybe that's something they do with the Quantum Realm. Like, now we're just getting into predictions, though, but I think based on the trailer, they did just enough for me to be like, even though I already knew I was going to see the movie, I was like, yeah, this is all you need to show. Don't show me really anything else other than what you already have, because I got a big moment. I was like, I see Tony Stark walking with the rest of the Avengers to whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah.
Whether it be the Quantum Realm or getting into a spaceship to go into space to fight
Or-
Thanos on Titan 2.
15 TV spots for Infinity War.
Wow.
But some of them are weird. Some of them are like not. I wouldn't count as TV spots, but they're labeled as them.
Mm-hmm.
They're like featurettes, but they aired on TV. I don't know. It's odd. The list was weird. I think at the end of the day, I think whatever we've predicted is either already been called on the internet, like it's the most predictable thing ever,
Yeah.
or we are not expecting what's about to happen. And this trailer set that up very well. Of like
Yeah.
everything you know is
You think you know, but really,
you don't really know.
either you're going to be 100% correct or you're going to be 100% wrong.
Like I think Infinity War proved it right.
yeah.
Was that I had no idea what was going to happen.
Oh, I figured Cap was dying in Infinity War.
I knew it, I figured it would end with a snap,
Yeah.
but I thought we would actually lose more people, like legitimate people.
Yeah, no. I think what they really wanted was they just wanted to have the original Avengers for one last movie, and then they were like, well, which characters have the most to do with Thanos? And obviously, since Gamora and most of the Guardians are dead, they had to keep Nebula, and they kept Rocket. And for me, I'm like, maybe Rocket is a really interesting character to me because I'm like, on one hand, he keeps trying to run away from Thanos. Maybe there's something there going way back to how he was constructed by Kree people. I don't know. There was some video that I watched once that talked about why is Rocket so afraid of like confronting Thanos or something, and I was like, maybe there's something more with that with his
Thanos and
history.
he kills everybody.
I don't know, but like
Thanos is also his father.
Rocket.
Okay.
Rocket is the one that's
His mother
basically
is.
avenging the rest of the Guardians, whereas Nebula is getting revenge, I think. But I don't know. Like, I'm really curious to see what all these other characters are going to be doing, and if they're going to kill any of the minor characters as well. Like, I could see War Machine dying, maybe.
I don't know, and that's where
But I'm just like, you don't want to take away from like a character who's been there since the beginning, like their death. Like, let's say Cap died, you wouldn't want like 3 or 4 other characters to die alongside him, in a sense, because I feel like that makes his death feel not as emotional in the end.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting on who dies and who lives and who gets fake death moments where you're like,
Maybe they just create a separate reality where some of them are there and some of them aren't. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, it's going to be really weird because I feel like if you got the Reality Stone, you could at least create the reality that the snap never happened.
I mean,
And
maybe.
just-
I think
like,
you're just,
I don't
I think
know,
you're just
like-
getting into some territory. I think we need to.
Yeah.
But we're just getting too off on this with it, just theories.
I
I think the
I'm
trailer,
excited.
from what the trailer did, it was really good. Didn't show anything else. The cool thing at the end with Captain Marvel was awesome.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
really
like
like
her.
that.
I think overall it's a good trailer. It's a near perfect trailer because it doesn't show anything. Now, granted, I will be curious to rewatch this trailer after we see Endgame. Be like, what actually was shown, what was foreshadowed, what was fake.
Yeah,
Right.
what actually is in the movie?
I made a joke that
Hulk in Wakanda was fake, but at
The
the same
entire
time,
shot
it's
was
like-
fake.
Yeah, but it's like, what if it's not? And like they go back in time and then Hulk
That
is
was
in
in,
Wakanda. Yeah,
I made a joke that actually the first part of the movie is just all the old footage. It's just showing you all the movies through. It's a catch up. It's a recap.
It's a recap
to remind
of the
you
movie.
everything that happened. But yeah, I think it's a great trailer. Super excited. Tickets need to go on sale soon. Disney.
I'm surprised that
I'm
they
not
haven't-
surprised they aren't. Everyone who makes the argument, Captain Marvel's in its second weekend.
I know.
You
but
take
the
away
fact
money.
that they released the trailer this soon, I'm like, I feel like they would have done
I think-
tickets on sale at the same time of the trailer.
I think the reason the trailer was released, which I would have waited another week and then put
Mm-hmm.
tickets out, but was to bump Captain Marvel because she's featured in the trailer.
That's true.
People were like, "Oh, I need to see this movie."
That's true.
So
And it gives you the evidence, oh, she survived the snap.
yeah.
So,
But with all that being said, let's do our last Marvel discussion. Captain Marvel. So, should have done this last week. The movie came out last week. But as of now, the movie has made $760 million worldwide. It will cross $1 billion. This movie will make crazy money. Like,
I'm happy.
it's a good movie.
I think so. I really like everything about Captain Marvel as a character. I love at the beginning how she's not sure of herself. She doesn't remember anything. And then by the end, like, you see somebody who's in the steps of becoming this great hero that they're wanting her to be in the MCU. I feel like a lot of people were complaining that, like, she looked very bland / wooden in the trailers and stuff. And I was like, I feel like that's the point, because once you watch the movie, you realize the Kree are trying to get her to keep control of her emotions. That's like the whole point of the movie,
Right.
in a sense. Like,
And
Right.
Her.
My biggest thing, and this is where I agree and disagree with everyone on Brie Larson, is the problem was with the amnesia. She had to be very, very bland.
right?
Yeah,
Like that
and
was
that's-
the point.
The hard part is when she like at the
Towards the end,
and
when she finally comes
becomes
into herself.
Right, once she
I
gets
still
to Earth
feel a
even,
little bit
I
of
feel
that
like-
blandness. Maybe it's just her acting in general.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know. Everything
I wasn't
I've
the biggest
I feel
fan
like by the
Yeah.
end
of
it's
her
fine.
acting in general. I'm not saying that she's a bad actor by
Right,
any means,
I-
but I'm not saying that she's the greatest by, at least for what that was.
Right.
Now, who knows? When we come into this, she comes in and she has her grand entrance
Yeah.
or whatever it could be, and it could be a whole different story with her, and I
Mm-hmm.
may like her a lot more.
Well, I'm
than that.
hoping the Russo brothers do what they did for like every other character they've had and make her better, make her more interesting. Like
Yeah.
Cap and like
Well, even like Thor.
yeah.
Thor
Yeah.
has like developed into like a whole different character
Yeah.
from the first movie to now. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
no, like
just a lot
almost every
different.
character the Russo brothers touch, they add to and they give them more depth. So I feel like they have to almost do that with Captain Marvel. I feel like she was fine as it was by the end of the movie.
Yeah,
Like-
I thought Sam Jackson did really well.
Yes.
And so any scene where they were playing off each other, I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah,
I
They
thought
had
their
good
chemistry was
chemistry.
Yeah.
good. I actually really like all of the supporting cast in this movie.
Ben Mendelsohn is a phenomenal character.
Mm-hmm.
Loved every scene with him.
Yeah, he was great.
Jude Law was pretty good. I
Yeah.
thought he was he needed to be in it more
Yeah,
motivation.
I felt like by the third act, it's like, okay, we could have done more with you. But
Yeah, but I was like, yeah, we'll get into it more in the spoiler talk on what I feel like things should have been. But anyway, I thought it sucked that Clark Gregg couldn't have been in it more
yeah, I was
because
really
I felt
hoping to see
I was
more
so
of him.
excited for him, and then him and Ronan were both just not in it enough, and I was like,
Yeah, Ronan,
why even have them? Like,
I feel
except to
like-
have him just so he could that line where he's like, "This isn't my first rodeo."
Mm-hmm.
Just to have that line make sense, be like, he was there when Captain Marvel arrived, blah blah.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, I'm just like going off the Ronan thing. Maybe that's just to be like, this is the same guy from Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think it's setting up a sequel, but
Yeah. I feel like it almost has to because, like, one of the subplots in Guardians 1 is the Kree and.
is Andrew Alliance.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think there's something there for future ones. Now I know you have more criticism, so I will let you talk about the negatives because I mean, like yeah, go ahead.
So I think coming from like the first set of Marvel movies, this is a Phase 1 kind of movie to me.
Yeah,
Which
Yeah.
we always reference, at least I hear you reference this a lot, Brandon, but I have to agree on, it reminds me of kind of like an Iron Man kind of thing where we've raised the stakes so high now that like when I go back and we see an intro movie kind of like this, and yeah, the plot is there, and you just want something different over
Yeah.
time, and I think that's part of the reason why I wasn't as wowed or just think that was great, or even her acting was a little bit dry, plus with the emotions we just talked about. But with the actual plot itself and why she's doing everything and that, it starts to grow on you at the very, very end when she starts to come herself,
Yeah.
and you're like, yeah, every story has to have a beginning, and I get that. I just think her beginning wasn't as great as the other ones, and it's hard to. I don't want to compare to everything, but when the Marvel Universe has provided so many movies for us, and so many have been good,
yeah,
you start to get that expectation of you want all the fighting, and you want the whole thing and the story itself. I thought it was just kind of dry. I think you have the conflict level, and then you have the plot twist and all that. Won't spoil anything, but and it's like you kind of I foresaw it happening for the most part, but
I didn't see one thing happening, but everything else seemed very generic and very predictable.
and exactly, and I mean part of that it's like, okay, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna enjoy the movie
Yeah.
for what it is and watch her character develop and see what happens from there. And if I was okay with that, and if this was any other movie not by Marvel, then
Yeah.
I'd be okay. But since it was by Marvel, then I have this like thing. I'm like, okay, I want a little bit more. I want something a little bit just wow, or like holy crap, did she just do that kind of thing? Something if she is one of the strongest characters.
Yeah, it doesn't show well
It does
enough.
not show very well, and that's one of my. And I get that she's learning,
Right, and
she's
that was one of my
developing,
biggest
so-
problems. One, the Super Saiyan binary form should not have been shown in the trailers.
Yeah.
That moment would have been so cool.
to watch
To watch in
And-
the
theaters.
Yeah.
If
Like-
it just happened.
Yeah, which I get though, but like, because that's the problem. Outside of that scene where she's, there's one scene where when she first goes it.
Yeah.
That is the only that and the opening are the only good action scenes in the movie.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
my thing. When you have someone that has such a strong character, strong hero, or that's making the case for that, I want to see some action.
Right.
I want to see bodies getting thrown. Whatever your power is, like Thor, like once he finally like let loose and stuff.
That's the thing. In Thor 1 and 2, it's the same.
It's exactly
where they don't know how to power scale, they don't know how to show this.
Yeah.
But Ragnarok made more sense because you put somebody who's the same strength as him. That's what
Exactly.
Captain Marvel needs, and that's the problem with the origin movie. Is that it needed to focus on her character, and it needed to introduce all of her before Endgame.
So I get they're
Yeah.
shoving everything in, and they're trying to get this thing going.
I feel like
But
on
that's-
one hand they have to keep things a little bit lighter scale, like how we had Ant-Man and the Wasp, and now we've had Captain Marvel.
But
We don't want
Captain
anything that's
But Captain Marvel's more of a serious kind of.
Right, it's actually pretty. It's,
I mean, that's a dark character.
but you don't-
I mean,
you
not
don't
a
want-
dark character, but you get more of a darker vibe out of that. If you're going to go that route, you better go like
Right.
110%
right,
with
but
it,
you want to
know?
make sure that you introduce this character and people understand them before Endgame comes out. So, like, I feel like going forward, you're gonna get the Captain Marvel that you're looking for.
And for instance,
Like, I
even
think
in the
by
trailer
Endgame-
of Endgame, when that little where
where he like pulls the
Yeah.
hand, or the axe. And,
axe or whatever, and she doesn't hesitate or doesn't
Right.
do anything. You get that seriousness level.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, don't f with me. You know, I'm
right,
Captain
and
Marvel or
I
whatever.
think you're gonna get that.
But you didn't get that
From
in the. I didn't feel like you got that vibe as much in the movie. I mean, a little bit, but
I feel like by
maybe
the
it's a
end
growing
you-
confidence, you know.
Right.
And also, we have to think about. I guess there's like a 20, or this would be a
25 years.
over a 30-year gap. 'cause
95. So.
Oh, it was 90. Okay, so so 20. Yeah,
23, 24 years.
23 years. So I mean, I guess she's learned I guess she's developed her powers in that 23 years. Which I guess watching it 3 weeks before the other movie. Or month,
whatever, like 8,
Yeah.
6, I don't know, whatever
Whatever.
amount of weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
But I get that, and that's the thing. And there are clear problems with the movie. I think it's an enjoyable movie. I think it's, if you sat down and showed me just Phase 3, I'd say it's better than Ant-Man and the Wasp and better than Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Which could be debated.
Yeah.
I know a lot
Guardians
of,
of the Galaxy 2, I would debate that a little bit, but
that just for me.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man's like a whole different, like, I don't know what
I
to
think
put
the
them
Ant-Man
in.
movies are fine, but I don't
But
think they're on the
see?
same level as like Guardians 2.
Well,
Yeah.
because there's different implications.
Right,
Right.
there's different stakes. And there's
Yeah.
And
different-
you're already attached to the characters in Guardians too.
Right.
But that's my problem. As a movie,
It's really hard to compare.
What would I rather watch, and that's where I put it. Because
Yeah.
like Doctor Strange, and this is the argument I heard, Doctor Strange is the only other solo movie, because I'm not going to argue Spider-Man or Black Panther, because they both had appearances in other movies, so they weren't origin
Yeah.
movies. But as origin movies go, Doctor Strange is your comparison in Phase 3. From start to finish, it knew what its tone was, it knew what it wanted to be. You saw the evolution of Strange more. The problem with Brie Larson, and this is where I'm being a little more generous than I probably should ever be, is that because of her amnesia, it's very much a blank slate up until halfway when they're at doing all this stuff. So you don't
you're
get to
trying
see
to develop an
Right.
origin movie for only half the time.
yeah, so you don't get to
basically.
see that where with Strange you saw his fall and rise.
Right.
And so that's the problem with
You almost
Captain
have two
Marvel
different movies
is
with
they
Captain Marvel.
they shot themselves in the foot before it came out. Granted, if you're willing to put all that aside, if you're willing to sit there and acknowledge what it is and the problems it has, I think it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granted, there are so many problems, but on a second viewing, I liked it a lot more than I
did
did the
too.
first one.
And I haven't seen it a second time, so sometimes those type of movies I have to watch a second time
Yeah.
to appreciate the little things that I just kind of
Right.
overlooked maybe.
Well, and once your expectations are set or checked,
Mm-hmm.
like once you know what you're getting into, then I think it's different. I think it's a different case.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying the movie is bad by any
Right,
means,
no.
but it just
Right.
it lacked that energy that I wanted to see out of it. I'm like, when not very many people know much about Captain Marvel.
Right.
I mean, so when you're like introducing a character,
Mm-hmm.
but you know that this is if Samuel L. Jackson is giving her the call right or the page
Yeah.
or whatever right before, you know that this is like the
This
worst
is-
case
oh,
scenario.
yeah.
Like, okay, this is our
We
hero
need this
right
person.
here. So when you have that stakes and then you get the movie like right after that, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, like let's see it.
Right, and I think the problem
so-
is coming off of Infinity War and leading into Endgame is
Mm-hmm.
your expectations need to be put in check because that's the thing. That is the same problem I had with Ant-Man and the Wasp on first viewing. Is it was really hard coming from Infinity War
Yeah.
to that because it's such a tonal shift that I'm like,
Right, like-
I don't know what I'm expecting. I don't
You
know
had
what I'm.
such huge
That's why-
galactic
but-
stakes in
so
Infinity
here-
War,
my
and
point
then
with that,
Ant-Man and the
though-
Wasp is I gotta get home before this FBI guy finds me.
Yeah.
my point with Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's almost its own like
Right.
set thing because they've got humor and they've got like this more fun tone. And there's a little bit of serious, but it's more of a fun, lighthearted kind of thing. Yeah, there's serious implications with their own story
Yeah.
and everything, but it tells its own story, and you kind of love the characters because they are strong with that emotion of just the humor and
Right.
everything. Whereas Captain Marvel, if you're gonna be serious and you're gonna be all I'm the best kind of thing, and
Yeah.
part of it is I think I've listened to a lot of interviews with her outside of Captain, like the actual movie and stuff. So I'm trying to cut that a little bit. But when you have someone that's serious, I'm like that's just I almost wish there was a Captain Marvel and a Captain Marvel 2 to develop the
Yeah,
story
or
before
even
you
I wish she was in something else and had let
Yeah,
it
I
alone.
think
Yeah.
it would have helped.
So
her.
it didn't have to do
and
the whole amnesia
a
plot.
strong character development of like, okay, this is what she is.
Mm-hmm.
But if she comes in this Infinity War Endgame and she just blows us out of the water, and we're like, holy crap!
I think she will.
Then I think everything just gets pushed
Yeah.
off put under the rug, and no one really cares about this movie.
I'm gonna be curious to see everything implications moving forward with her. I think now that we're out of solo film, like Thor before her, now that we're past that where we can let her develop really, I'm gonna be curious to see what happens.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do final score and then we'll talk a little bit of spoilers because there's Goose.
Best
Surprise,
character in the movie.
Surprise on how much he stole the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would give it a 7.5. I think it's a great time. When we do our MCU ranking later on this year, it's actually a lot higher than I think it'd be, but it's also lower. It's weird.
It's like around like 16 or 17, I think, which is actually not bad considering there's 21 freaking movies.
I think
know,
I'd put it
have
much
to-
higher than that.
I'd have to look back at the full list of the films and really think about it, but I think probably around somewhere between like that 14 and 17 range. Probably not any higher than that.
But on second viewing, I liked it much more.
Mhm.
I'm not going to be like, you have to see the movie twice. If you see it once, you don't like it, you don't like it.
Right, like
Yeah.
But for me, I was very teetering on the fence because I walked out and I was like, I liked a lot of this, but I didn't like this.
Mhm.
But then watching it again, I was like,
this makes more sense.
I was like,
now.
I'm willing to suspend. I'm willing to give up, not just ignore the problems I have, but I was more like I leaned more to the positives I liked, and so I was willing to like. It flew by. Like the movie's 2 hours. Even on my second viewing, it flew right by.
Yeah,
So
I didn't feel like it was ever dragged.
7.5 is what I give it.
I'd say still a 7. I still really enjoy it, but I feel like it's one of those MCU movies that will probably be kind of forgotten.
Maybe.
Like, I feel like Ant-Man and the Wasp is probably going to be forgotten just because of, like, where it came out in terms of, like, everything that was going on. 10 years from now, people are going to remember Infinity War and Endgame, I think, before they remember Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, well, yeah, but
I think there's
because
a lot of
it-
movies
it's-
you can say that with. So
Right,
Yeah.
but, like, I feel like these are the movies that had lower stakes, so I think people's investment / recalling of them isn't going to be...
I don't agree with the
As
forgetfulness because this movie's about to cross $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean... But I feel like it could be one of those ones that, like, everybody saw it, but then after that, it was like, who cares?
I'm hold on. I'm just sorry. I disagree with you because unlike the rest, this movie is having the impact that only one other movie superhero wise has done. And that's Wonder Woman.
That's true.
This movie has the impact for women, and it's doing that feminist movement correctly
true.
for them. And so I think you're gonna you forget that now,
Yeah,
but I
you're-
think people are
you're
gonna
not
talk
wrong.
about that. And like the same vein that people still talk about Wonder Woman is the same vein people are gonna talk about Captain Marvel.
I could see that.
So what? Even though Wonder Woman, I don't want to get into that, but
We could get
Yeah.
into a debate.
So-
yeah, 7 out of 10.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
okay. So
I went probably. I knew it was gonna be in the 7s just because when I came out of the theater. But like I said, that could change if I watched it again.
Yeah, and I
just because I was just a lot. That first half, I was just so.
oh yeah, no.
it
First
just,
viewing
First,
that
like-
first half, I was
First,
like
20, 30 minutes.
I
I'm
was
like,
so
okay.
bored.
Yeah, and if a movie doesn't come out very strong for me, it really affects me
Mm-hmm.
because I get I'm not negative about it because I'm reaching for things.
Yeah.
But you already go, maybe this isn't as good as I was.
But
hoping."
and it is nice because you walk out of it liking it.
By
Yeah.
the end,
Unlike
I'm
Wonder
like,
Woman, where at
this
the
is
end
good.
I was like, oh god.
You're like,
See,
what's
it's
happening?
weird. Like, I feel like Captain Marvel has a really
Weak first
weak
act.
first act, but by the end, I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, and Wonder
And then
Woman
Wonder
had
Woman's
strong
the
first and
exact
second.
opposite.
and then-
Yeah.
But sorry, yeah.
And that's part of their development as
Yeah.
a hero too.
And that's
As
the thing.
Wonder Woman already knew what the crap she
Yeah.
was doing, so whereas Captain Marvel just was developing. So yeah, but I'll settle with a 7.5 and call it call it that.
So do we want
Probably
to get
happy.
into spoilers?
Thank
here?
you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. We will do a little bit of spoiler talk. There isn't really that much. There's just one
Yeah.
thing I want to talk about. But follow us on Spotify, SoundCloud, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, iTunes, Apple Podcast. Subscribe on there. Is there any other one? Big one?
Google Play.
Google Play.
Yeah.
Follow Jittery Jackanape at
I'm on
twitch.tv.com,
twitch.tv.
where he streamed, I don't know, like a week ago.
I streamed Fallout 3 last Saturday.
If you
The
want
plan-
to watch anything with Fallout, just
Yeah,
follow
and
him.
if you have Twitch Prime, or if you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch
Twitch
Prime.
Prime.
So if you're really bored, just find Jittery Jackanape, which we've linked on our Facebook. Go like that. Just subscribe with your Amazon Prime. It's free. So just
Yep.
link your Twitch and Amazon accounts, or make one and then link it and subscribe to Zach because he'd love that.
I would deeply appreciate it.
It might encourage him to actually stream.
I'm going to try to get... If I'm off on Saturdays, the plan is to stream every Saturday.
So you're gonna stream. Oh, a little bit of a teaser for next week. We are seeing an early screening of Shazam.
Oh, that's right. We are.
Yes.
So next episode will be a Shazam, and then I will. I don't know if either one of you are, but I will talk about Us, the new Jordan Peele horror movie that comes out next week. So
I think I will actually go home and probably stream something.
yeah, I'm double featuring. I'm seeing Shazam and then going straight over and seeing Us.
Have fun with that, because I'm really curious about that movie.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of positive things. So next week that'll be my two big things. I'll talk about Shazam and Us, and I'm gonna try to play Division this week.
Yeah.
The bathroom is almost
Ooh,
done.
I
but
could stream Division 2. I could.
we could try to play. Well, I don't know.
We
if
could
we'll
all
actually
three play.
That would actually be really fun if we all got into a party and we just played the game together.
We give that a try. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. That'll be next week. Real quick, I want to do just probably like 5 minutes of spoiler talk. Probably won't take long. But yeah,
So-
hold on, wait. You're given 5 seconds to leave as soon as that gets down. Okay, there's the
Okay,
5.
3. Okay.
Oh, Goose, you spat up the Tesseract.
I overcounted. I wanted to do the 5 and for the.
I'm giving you
credit
3
scene.
coughs once I cut and edit.
Yeah, the Goose after credit scene was kind of. It was there.
It was just there. It didn't really do anything, but I thought it was funny that...
All that time we had to wait.
Yeah, everyone's getting really mad about that, but I'm like, honestly, we're at the point where the important one is in the middle, so people don't have to wait.
Right,
Yeah.
no,
So you don't
like,
have to
the,
stay there
the
anymore.
last few movies,
Last 2.
well...
Ant-Man and the Wasp had the
Homecoming even had one that was like just there just as a joke.
What was the?
Homecoming
Had the
it was
patience.
Cap about talking about patience, and I was
Patience.
like, not every end credit scene is going to be anything.
Well, now they
moving
do. Now they
forward.
do a important one and then a joke one.
Right, so it's like
Or Guardians that did literally 5
Guardians
and has
had
no idea what
so-
any of them were.
So many.
Or it's like a-
the only one of any real importance
2.
was
There's 2.
the
Adam Warlock. We shall call him
Atom.
Atom. And then Stallone being like, "Let's assemble a new Guardians of the Galaxy."
It's
And then
Stallone
Miley
is in
Cyrus-
the Guardians of
and
the
then,
Galaxy.
and then Miley
movie.
Cyrus as a robot.
I missed
being
you
like-
guys so much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if we get an OG Guardians and Sylvester Stallone is leading it, I hope that he fights an evil Arnold Schwarzenegger in space. Like,
But the big thing
That's
is the
not even
scroll
st-
twist.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
man.
Did not see that coming.
I didn't either.
And Ben Mendelsohn in that role, I love the scrolls.
Mm-hmm.
They were the best character in the movie.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Talos was. I like Talos more than I liked. Not Fury.
Except
I like
Fury.
Talos more than I like Captain Marvel.
Yeah. As much as this is an origin movie about Captain Marvel, this is also, like, about Nick Fury just as much.
Yeah.
Like, this is as close to a Nick Fury solo film as I think we're going to get.
As much as I want one too.
Yeah.
Because
And
Fury's
you
a good
couldn't-
character.
You
Yeah.
couldn't do anything more than probably that with Nick Fury, which I could really see them doing like a solo kind of thing.
I could,
with
but
it.
I also would.
They'd have to do it soon though.
I don't know if I'd want it.
Right.
It's like Black Widow. I think Black Widow could be good if Hawkeye gets to be in it. Like if it's Budapest.
Yeah.
Like and shows that. Like give us more to the universe.
Well, Black Widow or isn't? Aren't they in talks? of
There's.
it?
It's probably coming out next year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or no.
It's-
Yeah, next year. I have no idea what
Um,
year it was anymore.
Goose the Flurkin is pretty great.
Yeah, when they're like threat level high.
And then it's like human, male, threat level low. This thing must be busted. And then the cat freaking devours people.
The 4 people, yeah. Honestly, this is one of my biggest complaints, is her power scale at the end. Like, I understand she doesn't have control of it, but it was just so frustrating to
It's almost
watch.
like there's just this massive power boost. I almost felt like I was watching like Dragon Ball Z where somebody gets a Sensu Bean and they're all of a sudden just massively stronger than their opponent.
Well, but even like after she gets the binary form, she goes back in there and
Yeah.
like still struggles some when she should have just been able to like light up
Right, she
and
should
then
have
just like spin around
she
the
should have
room like
destroyed those
in Iron
people.
Man 2 where they do like the blast where they spin
Yeah,
around.
and they
If
just
she just
kill
done that
everything.
and then been like, we're done, and just flew away.
Right, like I felt like Captain Marvel, on one hand, probably didn't want to kill her former comrades though.
I have heard that argument.
And I'm just like, that makes sense
Because
because
what if some of them don't know and all that?
right, and I mean she sends Jude
Jude Law
Law's
back.
character
She's like,
back,
she sends a message.
so it's like I feel like she didn't want to kill them. So maybe that has a lot to do with it, and she was holding back. Because when she starts fighting those spaceships at the end, she doesn't spare any of them.
Well, she only takes one out.
Right.
The only one spaceship, and then she
and then
sits
like
in
all
front
those
of
missiles or
Ronan.
whatever.
She stands in front of Ronan and is like, leave, and he's like, let's get out of here.
Yeah,
We'll be back for the weapon. The girl or whatever. I don't remember what I said before.
and it's just like, so I'm like, okay, so are we leading up to a Ronan versus Captain Marvel?
I think there is another movie. I'm hoping because Ronan needs to be developed more.
Right,
I think there's
because
another movie where Ronan is like out there more fighting, and you see her and
right
Captain Marvel.
because we need to see that he's a big deal too. Because I hope that they don't just do Captain Marvel in present day. I want to see her with Talos in another movie about them finding a home maybe, and Ronan's chasing them. That could be really
Yeah.
cool.
And they talked about that there could be so first off, we know
Everybody
there's
keeps saying-
there's one scroll left on Earth.
Yeah,
Like if you look at it, there were 4 that landed on Earth, and we account for 3 of them.
Yeah.
Talos, the science guy, and the one that dies at Fury's hands.
Oh yeah.
And we don't know what happened to the 4th.
right.
So that is going to be. I'm going to be curious to see what happens there. If there's like because there's talks of like one of them. Feige said it's always possible for one of them to go rogue and get mad. That does secret invasion in a sense.
Right, that's what I was thinking, because it's like a lot of people on the internet are like, they made all the scrolls good, and I was like, that's not necessarily true. They made Talos good.
Well, they made Talos and his group.
Right, there's a big difference between that, because he said thousands of them are scattered across
Yeah.
the universe. So to me, I'm like, you can still get a Secret Wars invasion, because it could get out there, oh, there was this Kree woman from Earth who had the power to stop this war, and she didn't. Let's go to her planet and just mess things up. You have a story right there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of options there on what could happen. But I'm just saying, like, the Secret Wars is not out of the picture.
No, I don't think so.
Or off the table.
A lot of people are like, well, now that Captain Marvel has a good relationship with the Skrulls, the Secret Wars can't happen. I'm like, that was one small group of like 10 Skrulls.
I would say at least 30.
Whoever was on that ship.
Yeah.
It makes
And
it
it's
more
like,
interesting.
There's way more than that out there in the universe.
It makes it more interesting that, like, back then, like, there was still a whole bunch of ties. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't just started with
Right.
Iron Man. It
Yeah.
just goes past.
Yeah. I really liked her getting her powers from the Space Stone.
Yeah.
I thought that was fine.
I liked it more in the idea of the quantum realm.
Right, but I mean, she would have had to meet Hank Pym and everything.
Well,
and,
so
like, it
a
would've
lot of
been-
rumor was that, like, Pym was developing the spaceship.
Oh, okay.
And then when the spaceship blew up, it had quantum technology in it and all this stuff.
That'd be kind of cool, but
But I think you've already given Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver their powers this way. You might as well give Marvel.
I guess, like, I just like that it's like the Infinity Stones can give people these types of powers.
yeah.
So I think, and this is going back to Endgame, mutants might come as a result of the snap. Or
Maybe.
the destruction of the Mind Stone. Because, like, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, they got their powers from the Mind Stone.
What's kind of interesting is that she gets the powers from that
The
stone.
blast.
Well, not even the
What,
stone.
the blast of
Right.
the stone.
The energy blast from
And
what
then
the
she's,
Tesseract...
she's
produced.
extremely
Yeah.
powerful at that point. But
Right.
can you go back to the thing? Can she single-handedly defeat Thanos?
No, I don't
No,
think
think
so.
so.
Because that's what people like. I've read. You know.
I think that she's probably around Thor's level.
Which I think, honestly, he could kill Thanos on his own.
I think Thor
But-
will.
Oh, I guess here's the problem. Captain Marvel, we're looking at 20 plus years out. So like that's 20 years of her honing her powers.
Yeah.
It's the
Right.
same thing with Strange. Like the director said Strange was in that time loop for hundreds of years.
Right.
And
Like,
so
he was just
Strange was
there.
just perfecting his like art. Like he was just trying new magic. So like that's the problem is like because like statistically Strange should have been able to take down Thanos. But
Right, but you have to also think there was probably some outcome where if he won, something else could have happened. Or
Yeah,
something.
who knows?
Like, we don't know. Like
Maybe a
That's
bigger
the
threat.
whenever
Thanos
you mess
might
with
not even
time.
be the
Whenever
main
you mess
villain,
with
yeah.
time, anything can happen. So
Right.
no matter how long we talk about this,
Yeah.
like, it's just whatever they wanted to do.
right,
with
by the
it.
time we
We're-
get done with Endgame, I think we're gonna have a whole lot more answers than we will questions.
Yeah.
it'll be
um,
interesting to see like
Because Endgame to me is capping off the first 10 years, obviously.
Yeah, this is book one. That's how I look at it.
Pretty
We
much.
closed book
This is-
one. Now let's begin book two of
Right.
phase 4 through 6.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Which
like,
as long as they keep making them good, as long as they're at worst
The
case
quality
scenario,
doesn't-
as long as the quality is okay, I will always be there.
right. Like I feel like I haven't been disappointed by an MCU film yet.
it'd be really interesting to
this
see like
would be
a
the-
Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel.
To see,
I think she's teaming up with Thor.
well, I think eventually you see her, Panther, and
Maybe Spider-Man?
Maybe.
It just depends on how much Sony wants to play ball with that deal.
I think I think you see more her and Panther take the role of Cap and Iron Man and lead the team.
Yeah, I
And-
think Panther will definitely lead the Avengers.
Yeah, I think those are the new like heads of Avengers.
Because I think doesn't Black Panther in the comics lead the Avengers several times?
I mean, a lot of people lead the Avengers.
Right, like so it's like, well, who's going to lead them now? You know, like it has to be somebody new who has like some sort of like presence that you're like, okay, that person carries leadership really well. To me, that's Black Panther or Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
I
and
agree.
what'll be interesting is I can see Captain Marvel still being kind of like a reckless a little bit, and then where you have Black Panther being more like
right, because
Well, that's the thing everyone's discussing.
Yeah.
She's more like Tony Stark and
Yeah.
Panther's
You have
more
to
like
think-
Steve, and that's why they mirror each other, and that's why like
you have
all
to think
that.
Captain Marvel is probably like, I've been in space for 20 years, like getting super powerful. She probably hasn't come across somebody like Thanos yet. So she's probably, in a weird way, maybe going to be a little arrogant.
maybe
I don't
mean,
know.
who
He
actually
stops her.
knows.
Right, like
My thing is like, so this is a weird thing. I was thinking about this as a shower thought like a couple days ago, and you guys have probably read this somewhere else because I'm sure someone else has thought about this. But like, what if he called her? I know the trailer's already kind of ruined it, but what if he called her on the page or whatever and she just died? Like she's just one
Like
of the
she turned
50%.
to dust
Well, that was that. Everyone wanted that, so
I
everyone
remember
before
a lot
was
of
like,
people were saying, what if she turned to dust too?
well, even Jake was like, she dusted. He's like, it'd be so stupid and blah blah blah. And everyone after the movie came out was like, okay, I was fine with this. But yeah, a lot of people
Right,
are like,
no.
He goes,
Like-
crap, she's not responded.
But no, that could have been a very real possibility.
yeah,
though.
that she like saw the page and then faded away. That's what everyone wanted the after credit scene to be.
If that would have happened, that would have been insane.
Right.
But then it's like, well, then it almost sets up Captain Marvel for nothing. Like, I feel like if you're going to...
Yeah, that's what I said. I said it's a waste.
Yeah.
Why set up at the end?
Oh yeah.
Now, granted, it would have been as frustrating if she didn't, because we know, because of the in credit scene, we know she shows up super early because Cap still has the beard
Yeah.
and Black Widow's hair. But if that hadn't been the case, if she was just in Act 3, where like they're losing the Thanos, she comes in and just wipes the floor, I would have agreed. That was like so frustrating.
Right, but if she's going to be in, like, the entire movie, I'm kind of fine with it.
Yeah.
Like,
We should probably wrap this up.
Yeah.
yeah, we've been
Um,
going for quite a bit.
Just because if not, we're going to start getting into Endgame theories. But overall, Captain Marvel spoilers, that was it, blah, blah, blah. Skrull's really good. Talos is one of my favorite characters, and I'm excited he lives.
Yeah, I
So that
know.
we can see him in a sequel.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I want him
Yeah.
and Jude Law to be main characters in Captain Marvel 2.
Oh, yeah, and Jude Law was only okay. I mean, I liked
Yeah.
him. He wasn't like one of the best
He
villains.
just didn't have like
Isn't
a
he, like,
significant
her
amount.
main villain
Yeah. Oh,
in the
wait.
comics?
The Supreme Intelligence is actually really good. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
like that scene in English. She's like, this jacket's really nice. Like all
And they're
that.
playing Nirvana. I'm
Yeah,
like,
that back and forth was really good. That
I
scene,
did-
I
I did
love
hear
that.
her
scene.
getting out and breaking out is really good.
Yeah, where she's like blasting her.
If there was going to be a scene where I feel like an IMAX audience would have stood up and cheered, it would have been that. Like where she goes binary.
How do you guys think that would tie into anything that's been going on now with the Supreme, like where does she have any role? Would she
Well,
have any role?
You're talking about the Supreme Intelligence?
Yeah.
So just to be clear, that is not her. It only takes on in the movie they talk about. It only takes on the role of the person you most admire.
Okay.
Which they confirmed in interviews that when Jude Law kept talking about who it is to him, Jude Law just sees himself.
Exactly.
yeah.
So my thing was like, is it a mind type trick or is
It's
there
a-
something else like a higher power?
It's
over
an
that?
AI, but we don't know if the AI is like controlled by somebody or what.
So
the comics have been
that was
very-
kind
I'm
of
really
my
curious
so my
to see-
point would have been like if if it is like a higher power kind of thing,
Yeah.
and like no one knows what it is.
I'm really curious to
if
see
that has
Kree
any
and Xandar.
effect on anything
Like,
later
if
on.
they address
but-
that. in
If maybe
future.
the Supreme Intelligence, because that's the problem with Supreme Intelligence. Very quickly in the corner of the screen, when it shows she's going to it, it quickly says AI, blah blah blah, whatever all it is. It doesn't ever really like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very quick, and I was really frustrated because I'm like, you probably need to explain that more to your audience, and don't walk away and be like,
wonder who the
well,
Kree
she was a
girl
really
that-
cool villain. You're like, but it's not a woman.
Yeah. No, just going back to Guardians 1, when Peter Quill meets Drax, he talks about how he got a scar from like some Kree girl. I'm like, what if that's Captain Marvel? And they just have the sequel is just young Peter Quill meeting Captain Marvel, and it has to do with Xandar and everything.
Maybe.
And the Kree stuff.
That'd be interesting.
That could be
If
really
she,
cool.
that could because Kree make a treaty towards the end, but we don't know
Right.
how much they acknowledge.
They
it.
actually
Yeah,
just
I don't
met,
know.
they've actually
But,
just
like,
met each other.
I just
Yeah.
I just
Had,
thought
like,
of
a
that
whole-
because I was like,
That'd be an interesting.
how
connection.
does Captain Marvel connect to any of the other characters? And I just heard Kree Woman when I was watching Guardians 1, and I was like, that could have been Captain Marvel. Maybe. It's really unlikely,
Yeah.
but
All right,
I
we'll
don't
wrap
know.
this
We
up.
should wrap this up.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning into our spoiler talk. I'm Brandon.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Ryan, and we're signing out.
Shazam!
How dare you?